Peace, everybody. Peace, everyone. Welcome to Masterminds with Brother Shem. We'll get started shortly. I want to send a special shout out to you all, special honor to you all in the building. Just got confirmation. Brother Aseer, Grifters will return. We'll be on here shortly. So we're getting ready. We're going to have a real good conversation. So y'all just strap tight and we'll get started soon. Smith, Arkansas in the building. Peace, Queen. Ottawa, peace. Peace, Queen. Glad you can make it. Peace, everyone. Peace. I'm about to bring on our guest, Islam.
Islam, brother. Can you hear me?
Islam, brother. Glad you can make it. Honor to have you.
How are you, my brother? Thanks for having me on.
Well. I'm doing well, brother. It's been a great day. First off, I want to say, as always, I'm definitely appreciative of you always extending yourself, you know what I'm saying, to get on the platform. Islam, peace, family, peace to everyone in the building. Let me see.
Peace.
Charlie Straight Talk. Peace, everyone, peace. All right. And brother, first let me ask, how's your day been? How's your day been?
So far, so good, man. Still going. You know how it is.
Indeed. Indeed.
Raising a 14-year-old, trying to tap in with stay tapped in with two elder children. So you know how it is, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, family is always first. I wanted had the opportunity to spend some time with my sister. It's her Earth Day. Shout out
Earth Day.
Yeah, happy Earth Day to my younger sister Janine. Yeah,
That's
so absolutely more. So I'm grateful for that. For everybody, your brother who really needs no introduction, but I want to go ahead and give you your honor. So
thank you.
Absolutely, brother. First, just to let me just start off, for those who are not familiar, if this is your first time coming to this platform, this brother has been on my platform twice. He's had the privilege of setting numbers, setting records on the views. You know what I'm saying? Over 11,000. The first one we did was what was that? The Moor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. To Marvel movies where you dropped about your graphic epic novel. Yeah. I'm going to give the link to that.
About that too. That's right.
Yeah, indeed. Got that one. Then later on, we did another epic one. Did over 42,000 views.
Wow.
Where you dropped some serious jewels there. That was about over a year ago.
Yeah.
And now you're back again. So I want to take the time out. Oh, also honest to your Empress. I got it in.
Islam. Oh, that's what's up, G. Okay, great. You got it. Excellent.
Yeah, I got it. The Rosemary's Baby. So I want to definitely shout that out. Let me go ahead and just go through everything on the links. First, I'm going to show, for those who want to go to his website, it's www.aseerthedukeoftears.com. That is his website. Y'all go and check that out. Also, we have his Empress website, which is CordobaOrganics.com. where you can get all of the great so once if you could kind of give a overview real quick, because she has so much of what your wife, your Empress, offers on that website.
She offers like anything that anybody needs when it concerns to eczema or dermatitis or any type of hyperpigmentation, scarring, irregular skin tones, anything. Yeah, anything that's herbal infused, that's like 100% natural, meaning real herbs naturally going into the body within each bottle. You definitely want to check out Cordoba Organics. There's no, like I said, literally no preservatives, none of that stuff in it. And a lot of us just suffer from underarm issues from the aluminum in it, fibroids and all of that. And most of that comes from horrible products. So,
Right.
yeah, stuff that you apply to your scalp. You want to make sure that that's natural.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you want to use, like you said, the Rosemary's Baby, like you said, like you just got. It's really, really good for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's no shea butter and stuff in it as well, and any products. So with no shea butter base, like it's really, really a heavy consistency in terms of the product. It's excellent. And the consistency is something that you won't find. Yeah, the consistency is, you won't find it in nothing else. I promise. Of the carrier oils, a lot of soy. Every product has soy in it, so you want to. Can you hear?
Yes.
Can you?
Yeah. I can hear.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, you just really want to be careful with our boys right now. So many boys are suffering from like fibroids, over estrogen stimulation, as well as us as women. So, the product really is an alternative and just a solution, because I have, so many people with underarm boils based on aluminum infused deodorants, and really just like hair products that are great smelling, but really don't work long term because of the soy. Soy and safflower oil are the number 2 carrier oils in 99% of products.
Exactly.
But they actually don't really saturate. It's almost like they're putting something on your skin that doesn't allow anything else to be able to be absorbed.
Exactly.
So you want to use carrier oils like jojoba and calendula and nettle, things that are actually herbally infused and not just herbs thrown into a bottle. So
right.
I just want to thank people for really trying it, because the consistency, when you feel it on your skin, you'll be like, oh wow, I see why I shouldn't use shea butter.
Yeah, you're gonna see it right away.
Other people that do use shea butter. It's just I wanted to really use ingredients that aren't mass produced, because they're really expensive and they're not available, mass produced.
Exactly.
So thank you guys for trying.
Exactly.
It's really just my only purpose. I really appreciate your support.
Exactly.
All right, y'all, have a great night, and thank you for showing the website, man.
Oh, no doubt.
My pleasure. Gratitude, Priestess. Appreciate you for providing us that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
It's a real deal. I can attest to it. This is my second go round with it. It works. Absolutely.
Excellent, brother. Thank you, man, for the support with that. And the people, man. Thank you for the continued support. It's a really good product.
Indeed, brother. Indeed. I want to go through the other ones. We got your Gumroad. That's where I got the graphic novel at. Just type up Aseer the Duke of Tears.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, you have your YouTube channel. Everybody should know about your YouTube channel, Aseer the Duke of Tears. You can type that in.
On that, they've been trying to keep our numbers capped like a little under 50,000 for the past 10 years, which is crazy. But, it is what it is. So anybody want to check me out over there, you can do that. If so, please subscribe, please share. And I just started a Rumble joint too. You can check that out.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Yeah, definitely. I know 50,000. I know it's way more than 50,000.
Oh yeah, man. they'll do crazy stuff on my page. They'll shadow ban it. Then if that don't work, then they'll put a delay on it. If that don't work, they mess with the audio. Like it's been going on for mad long. So one monkey don't start no show. You got to keep doing it regardless to what, because they don't. This is the era where they don't think that trying to actually censor you makes them look whack. You know what I'm saying? To make you look like you actually got something to say. So they don't get that message. They're like a blunt instrument. They can't understand subtleties, subtext, nuance. You know what I'm saying? These people, all of that's wasted on this new crop of people, in positions of so-called power. So
Absolutely. It's crazy because I had did a clip from one of the old interviews. I put it on TikTok, and they took the audio out. I ain't said, yeah, that was crazy. I was like, what? So,
you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Crazy, yo. That shit is crazy. And it's like, it'll be like 3 other joints right next to me, totally on the opposite shit of what I'm saying. And they volume is like turned up, you know what I'm saying? But that's how they do it. And it's like, until the people decide they're gonna not accept this, one way censorship, it's only gonna get somewhat progressively worse, unfortunately.
Yeah. So y'all know what it is. Support our brother. Go out there, Rumble. That's a good platform. Alternative platform to the YouTube. Then we have, of course, you can catch him on Facebook under the appellation Aseer Ali Cordoba.
Yeah.
Then if you want to support financially, we have Cash App, which is $DS418.
Yeah.
As well as you can do it through PayPal, through the email of duketeers@gmail.com. So, brother, we're about to get into it. So, as we mentioned, this is a very important time. Of course, it's being the 7th, right? The seventh day of the month. This is 2023. Those numbers add up to the 7th. And also, tomorrow marks the date of the year where Prophet Noble Drew Ali was born. When Prophet Noble Drew Ali was born, January 8th. Absolutely. So we give honor to. Absolutely. Yes. So I wanted to ask you, in your words, what is the importance of Noble Drew Ali to melanated people? For those who may not know, if this is the first time they're watching this, if you had to explain them how important Noble Drew Ali is to us in history and from other standpoints.
In my opinion, he's one of the most beneficial because most people don't know about him. And anything that they don't want you to know is usually something you need to find out, or somebody you need to find out about, you know what I'm saying? And because these people have basically taken the historical aspect of him out of natural history, it behooves us to educate ourselves as to who they've taken and who else besides him, or who was inspired by him. You know what I mean? Because they'll tell you like the people who was inspired by him and shit, but they'll, you know what I mean? They won't even act like he had anything to do with them type people. And this is the problem with us and how we look at the world is very disjointed and is very much a cult of personality. So because it's now in vogue to be Moors, to some people, they feel like they can be that without acknowledging those Moors and those things that came before them. And I think that's also the problem too. It's not like, you know what I'm saying, Noble Drew Ali invented Moors. Moors existed before him. However, what he did was consolidate our people, you know what I'm saying, and was able to bridge the nationalistic and the divine into an organization that allows original people to establish a nationalistic and a divine um, application of their nationality, that then upon greater understanding allows you to pull out of the so-called American Republic what's owed to you, you know what I mean, as an individual. And I think that um, the prophet Noble Jew Ali, um, the personage of him, just visually seeing him, you know what I'm saying? If I was to just visually just show you a picture of him to people who probably have never seen him before, they would have thought he was, you know, from someplace, you know, over there in Africa. However, the fact that you had thousands, if not millions of people like him born here in America who have an understanding or had an understanding of themselves beyond the reconstructed history that was given to everybody to keep them away from their natural inheritance, as well as their spiritual self outside of what they have been taught to be by the three Abrahamic religions, whether it be Christian, Islam, or so-called Hebrewism or Judaism. And so him being able to relay such a message in such a short period of time that we today can still adhere to, whether we're a part of the religious organization or not, you see what I'm saying, is really great. And the fact that the religious society came out of organ of the old Moorish Empire that we refer to as the Divine and National Movement, that allows us to re-access that form of glory in the present day based upon our understanding on what was left by him as, let's say, the man, the temple as the application of such, and then our, like I said, Divine and National Movement as a means to not only represent that on a First Amendment level, but preamble level, meaning that our rights don't start with the 14th Amendment. They go all the way back prior to even the establishment of the United States. But we have interest in so many different countries all over, you know what I mean, as heirs, that we tend to claim our geographic place of nativity by classifying it as that. So, like, outside of the country, I'm an American, right? But within the country, you know, I'll say I'm American. Okay, great. What's that? What's height? So if you don't have something to establish, to identify with, they're gonna put you at the bottom of the identification cycle by relying on the adage of you being a color. And the prophet was one of the first people in modern history to say that's not true. You know what I'm saying? So if it wasn't for him, we would have no so-called knowledge about us always being here, not imported from Africa, you know, all that stuff that Garvey was saying. He came and corrected all that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, and at the same time, still gave respect to Garvey without throwing him under the bus. You know what I'm saying? Putting money on his books and stuff like that. That's really noble to be able to, let's say, have your brother in a position where he down bad, and then you almost take over his situation, clarify all of the things he did wrong to his former followers, which are now yours. But then at the same time, they still see you bigging him up, like still trying to help him, not letting him languish in jail just alone and shit like that. Like nowadays, that's the total opposite of what they do now. You know what I'm saying? So, from what I see and from what I've read about the man, it was a lot of character involved with him. Even when they set him up, you know what I mean? The same way they do now, they set you up. They try to say that you was this or that, you was this type of deviant and all of that. But the problem with a frame or setup is that if it's done by half-wits, it's not going to work. You know what I mean? And like most setups that are done, they're set up by half-wits and people who really weren't a part of the movement to begin with. And so the cracks within the stories that they try to malign about the man you know, almost 100+ years after his death, are somewhat laughable. However, they exist so that way nobody that looks like us can have a clean, direct line to the people without them attaching some sort of, you know, avarice to your name. You know what I'm saying? So I think he dealt with that with a lot of grace. And before he could really set it straight and all of that, when they realized that didn't work, that's when they basically tried to set him up to kill him. So, and unfortunately, like I said, it's another proof that most of the people who fall victim, you know, we fall victim to people that look just like us, which has nothing to do with any other nationality but us. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, and I totally agree with what you're saying about how he handled it. You know what I'm saying? With all that he did and all the opposition, because he had opposition. You could name it from whether it was the Masons, Christian
Yep.
ministers, you
Yep.
name it, Europeans, you name it.
Coming over, hating that he's people calling him the prophet, trying to check his prophethood along the lines of Sunni
Yeah,
Islam. It existed before all of that, fam. Like Moors, we're Islamic, right? But Moors, we're not. I mean, how do I say it? We are descendants of a race of high priests and priestesses. You understand? Who was around for so long that we was able to go into any system that developed after us that we most likely helped insist or create. And then whatever the political aegis of whatever society or system existed, we was able to go in that and use that as a political system to maintain power within whatever the societal structure it was. So if it was Islam, that's cool. We could use that. You know what I'm saying? If it's Hebrewism, okay, great. Y'all doing that? We could do that. You know what I'm saying? If it was Christianity, okay, y'all doing that? Okay, we could do that, but we're not gonna do it like that. You dig what I'm saying? So that's the whole thing. Like, there's no real record. There's records of the Moorish Empire throughout history, and we have highs and low periods and stuff. Periods where we're not only ruling and taking the societies over, but we're projecting them into the future. You know what I'm saying? We bringing them, busting down all technology and shit like that. Then there's eras where we would just go and become straight agrarian again. It was just like farming. You know what I'm saying? Like, not dealing with none of that. You dig what I'm saying? Whereas when those times would happen, the people that wasn't us, who may have been on complexion, whatever, decided that they needed to keep the society going how they need to keep it going. So they then take what we not doing and then interpret it how they doing it, and then basically wind up with a new society, what they prefer, what they will call a new society, when it's really the same shit, just with different Moors with different ideas running it, or Moors who weren't from the original offset of the situation, who are now basically low key striving to take control of it by refocusing or rechanneling the sciences of those people who are mistakenly doing shit wrong, who think they're doing it right because they was brought up in the 33rd, because they was brought up in the church, because they was brought up in the mosque, because they was brought up in the synagogue, because they were brought up in the temple. You see what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
we don't have no birth record like that. So yeah, there were Islamic Moors, right? But remember, they found the DNA evidence of an original man in South Carolina 5-10 years ago, but it's just getting light now, whatever. Through a genetic institute in South Carolina, traced this man's DNA back over 385,000 years. You can look that up. From South Carolina, meaning the patrilineal DNA went all the way back 385,000 years, which means, you know, the devil undercut our numbers. So I would really double that. You know what I'm saying? I really double that. So I would say they say 385,000. I would double that to maybe like 683,000. But let's go with their number, 385,000. That means all of the ancient societies that y'all niggas is saying wasn't melanated and stuff like that, that date go before all of that. because they only really dating Egypt and all of that back to 11,000 years. You understand? The Christians only believe the world started 6,000 years ago. You understand? So
Right.
so the Christian believe it started 6,000 years ago. They saying that the highest ancient society that we could capture or latch on to, let's say New Kingdom Egypt, that shit, they saying that that's only about 11,600 years ago. So we triple numbers. You know what I'm saying? We before all the shit they talking about. You know what I mean? So how could we then be named by somebody else that we was at war with? Like, so when they say, "Oh, Moors is that's a European name," but there was no Europe. That part, that little piece over there, they had people calling people Moors over there, but they had the same thing over here. They had a piece of them doing that over here because it was these ancient Mauritanian, i.e., Moorish peoples that descended from the ancient world that brought that into the modern world for y'all. And then y'all wanted to flip it and bounce it under a reconstructed version that didn't see so many of us phenotypically in power. And this is where you get the amalgamated Moorish Empire, which is the Spanish Empire. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, from there, you get all the corporate derivatives that took over the treaty aspects of the nation before them. So from the Spanish, then it was the British. No, excuse me, the Spanish, then it was the French, then it was the British, then it was the Russians, then it was the British again, then it was the French again, right? Then it was the United States. You see what I'm saying? As a conglomerate of all of those. Like when people say Six Flags, right? Like Six Flags Great Adventure.
Yeah.
You know what them Six Flags are?
Well, no, what are they, Mo?
The Six Flags are Italy, Spain, France, the Republic of Texas, the United States, and Mexico. Because Texas used to be 6 different countries. See what I'm saying? So
Right.
Six Flags Great Adventure, when they talk about that, they talk about when they're giving respect to when that region was 6 different, under the banner of 6 different flags in the Confederation. See what I'm saying?
Yes.
But we're not talking about like white Italians, white Spaniards, white Frenchmen. No, we're talking about Huguenots. So we're talking about melanated people. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about Spanish, or you know, like Moorish Spain, like Moreno Spain, free white persons. We're not talking about the modern version of what people think. Just because somebody lived in a society for like 100 years don't mean that they're the progenitors of that society. That just means that they people been there for 100 years and now they moved into shit that we left over. That's why the Egyptians not being melanated or not being so-called black. See, I get them saying why they not, that Egyptians aren't black. Because when Zachary Hawass, which is the white devil, pale Arab Freemason, who runs the Egyptian tomb factory they got over there, that guy?
Yes.
When you say that the ancient Egyptians wasn't black, he's not saying that they wasn't melanated like us. That's not what he's saying. He's going by the status of what black mean today. You dig what I'm saying?
Yes.
And black, yes, it means colorless, pale, bleak, you know, wanted to be varnished or dyed or something. Like, yeah, there's that meaning, but we also can't negate the everyday colloquial aspect of that has nothing to do with the supremacy factor or the criminal aspect that they've attached to the adjective. You dig what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say that if somebody call you black in vulgar conversation, you can't just be always freaking out on them. You know what I'm saying? Because they may not know the vernacular when to do that. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean that at one time you didn't see the same thing. So what I'm saying is, let's stop spookifying these words and start understanding how to greatly basically put them in the proper place and the proper usage of that, so that way we don't fall, you see what I'm saying, under the same spell that we went through before by identifying each other erroneously, which actually benefits this decaying society around us instead of us as a collective. people, you know.
Indeed, indeed. And when you spoke about the Texas, the Six Flags with the Texas, that just brought me to mind. I remember the fact that, and even Eddie Griffin talked about this. This was one of the first time I heard it. They got an embassy of Texas in London.
It's right.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Right.
Anybody can look that up.
Because that's the Lone Star State. What's the flag on the Moors? What's the flag with the Moroccan flag? It's a star, right? Because that's the Lone Star State. Because that's where the Alamo was established under the ancient Mauritanian races. That was one of the last mosques that's there. Matter of fact, if you used to dig under the Alamo, you just keep going. Like it's a huge edifice. You only see the top. That they say is a church. They converted it to a church, but it's actually one of the oldest mosques built by the Almohad Moors back during the time of the Sultanate of Tenochtitlan, excuse me, that they call Mexico today. And out of that came something called the Treaty of the Three Guarantees, the Treaty of Hidalgo, and then after that we get the congressional record of 1845 that basically says who the land really belongs to, and it belongs to us as the ancient Mauritanian races, because the Mauritanian races are connected to what they used to refer to as the Atalan or the Atlantides, right? Which was the ancient seafaring kingdom that set up the New World and the Old World through the dominions and the empires, from what they refer to as North Africa. North Africa is anything north of Africa, right? So that's also Spain and west of Africa, and that's also everything going all the way up to the Mississippi River or the Nueces and the Bravo River. You see what I'm saying? So our understanding of geography is messed up. Our understanding of genetics is messed up. Our understanding of commerce is messed up. Our understanding of a lot of stuff is just messed up. You know what I mean? Because the clarification for certain things isn't applicable to the masses. So they rely on people, unlike myself, you know what I'm saying, who sound like they know what they talking about. You know what I mean? But in the reality, they don't live this like that. So they haven't lived it long enough to come to the divine truths that exist within this as a viable lifestyle option. And that is, if it's not bringing you love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality, then it's most likely a lie or a detriment. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not filtering your life through those concepts, then you're morally bankrupt anyway. So you're going to be taken advantage of regardless. You dig what I'm saying? And that's how people fell. We fell because we ceased to recognize our noble nature. And we are a noble race. We are not a criminal race. Criminality is not the basis of our identity. Just like slavery is not the basis of our identity. Just like our skin color is not the basis of our identity. It's something. Identity means something to be recognized by. Let's look at it on a simple level. So whatever you choose to be recognized by makes up your identity. Your identity can't be made up of, see what I'm saying, something that's based on somebody else. You understand?
Exactly.
So you can't base your identity on what you hope somebody would recognize in you. You have to have your identity, whether this person recognizes your identity or not. You understand?
Exactly.
So I don't ask to be a Moor. I don't ask to be a man. I am that. So I don't have to prove that. You see what I'm saying? I only have to prove something to you. Like, for instance, Moors are not to be taxed, held accountable in under any type of construction or operation of law according to Georgia statutes. And remember, Georgia never ratified the 14th Amendment. That's why it's never been actually proven to be a bona fide document. That's why prosecution under the 14th Amendment sometimes falls into disarray, because it still was never ratified and most likely will never be. It just works in a corporatized constitutional democracy. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't change the fact that you're not supposed to do that. But the burden of proof is on the Moor, the individual, to show and prove that he is not under the operation or the construction of law that the Negro Act and those things provide. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So basically that means once I show and prove who I am, it's their job. They're now obligated. They've now been put back in a proper place. And if they choose to do the opposite, they have now crossed the line now and become treasonous. You see? Because we represent the constituency of the several states, the quorum, those that walked out of the Congress because they wasn't feeling the imposition that the northern states were putting on the Congress at that time to allow foreigners to have the right to vote within the republic. Those foreigners were the white serfs that were being brought into the republic, the constitutional republic, via not through the Constitution itself, but via the 14th Amendment. See what I'm saying? That would then bring them into the country as citizens through the District of Columbia, not the preamble. You see what I'm saying?
Got it.
So the preamble is taking you back to the Article of Association, Articles of Confederation, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the Moroccan Tahrir. You see what I'm saying? It's taking you all the way back now, prior to the establishment of the United States, going all the way back to the surrender of Grenada, going back before that. You know what I'm saying? Taking you back to the Constitution of 1622 at Medina, taking you further back from that. Remember, Muhammad was illiterate, peace be upon him, right? So who wrote the Islamic Constitution? Gabriel? That's what y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why y'all doing it? Like, so this is what I mean. Like, we Moors could see a good situation arising where we've been out of the political fray, letting the mortals do their shit for mad long. And then we like, you know what? This age, we need to rein these Negroes in. So let's go in. Okay, what's popping now? What's the closest thing to the shit we on now? Prior to this fake shit they doing. Okay, Islam. Okay, let's do that. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna use that, and then we're gonna bring it in, and we're gonna create Sufism, and then we're gonna bring them out of the fake shit in through this back into the real shit. You see what I'm saying? And then from that, we'll separate the religion from the science. You see what I'm saying? That's why we Moors deal with more as science.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Whereas Muslims deal with religion. And that's cool. You see what I'm saying? It has its place for those people that aren't scientists. But if you're a scientist, see what I'm saying? You look at stuff in a deeper way. Whereas if you just in religion, you don't got to do that. You living on faith. You living that what you practicing is going to work for you. Right? So do that. But just because you make salat in prostration, don't hate on me for making salat standing up on the square with the right over left. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because that's the way we Moors, that's the way we customarily came in and did it. For before the person that they give respect for the starter of the religion even did that.
Exactly.
So you know what I'm saying? They can't own it. Like you can't tell me like I said with the Egyptians in Egypt now, like y'all can't act like y'all are descended from the people that y'all digging up out the ground. You not. Because if you was, then that means that you are horrible Muslims. Y'all horrible Muslims. Why? Because it's haram to desecrate the dead. Right?
Yep.
So you don't see nobody going to Mecca digging up Muhammad to see him, right? You don't see nobody going in and trying to dig up George Washington to see him, right? So how is it that you okay? You this devout Muslim country and all of this, but y'all are so ready to just go dig up who you acting like is your ancestor, but you know they not. They too dark for that. They too dark for that. The deeper you go, the darker the mummies get. The more up to date you go, the lighter they get. You know what I'm saying? They even put wigs on mummies. You got reconstructionists over there what they call restorers over there, lightening up the pictures, flattening out the noses. You know what I'm saying? And that's all fake, because the Arabs that's there, a lot of them is not even from there. But they've been there for so long that they feel like, oh, well, you know, I'm dark like this, so I must be these people. No, you're not. You're not. They imported y'all. They moved y'all from the Greater Peninsula when they took over Saudi Arabia and flooded a lot of Saudis into Egypt. You know what I mean? Between 1914, 1920. You know what I'm saying? Right around the time T.E. Lawrence and them was over there, who they call Lawrence of Arabia. That's when they invented the word Arab. The word Arab didn't exist until 1914, man.
More. I just want to add on. I just want to add on to your thought. When you said about being a horrible Muslim, the thought that came to my mind was, if these ancient Egyptians, according to them, were polytheists.
Right.
So why are you digging up polytheists? Isn't like what association you want to do with someone who's in the shirk, as you say? You catch what I'm saying?
Then you got real guys over there. Like I did a video where I saw and showed a video of a Moor. You know what I'm saying? But he's from over there. He's dark skinned. And he took them to the temple in Abydos that got the name Allah in hieroglyph. Aleph, Lam, Lam, Ha. That's how it's written. And he showed and proved, like, nah, this is where they got it from. You know what I'm saying? Where they got it from. Like, this is the stone where it came from. So, yeah, we know about the story about Isis Urania and the Fertile Crescent and all of that. But ancient Arabic is Kufic. Okay? And that's the stuff that they can't translate, because they got to come from the blood. Remember, the Moors were the high priests of Anu. Remember, I told you, we Moors, we're a race of high priests and priestesses who have, from generation to generation, storing the different logos and divine and national and imperial data from all of the different cultures and societies that existed prior to us being here. That's why we here in America, we are the most, put it like this, because of what they call slavery, we got the genetic trait of every so-called every tribe on the planet, not just Africa, on the planet. When you get your DNA test and it say this % European, what you think that means? That means that they tracing your DNA back to when you that look like you was over there looking like that. European don't mean white. You know what I'm saying? It mean what it say, European. Exactly. But guess what? The word European, outside of the Europa, the goddess, outside of the EU, meaning hillside, and ropa or rope, meaning to bind in. Besides that, it's also a designation. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, it's like anything else. It's a way to describe a place. But even that place that they was calling Europa was being called that by Moors or melanated people of entities like the Holy Roman Empire stuff that was trying to break away from the yoke of the Khans in them that was controlling Asia from the fall of what we would perceive the Roman state. So they're really West Asia. All Europe is really West Asia. So everybody in Europe, whether you in Italy, Spain, you really West Asian. You know what I'm saying? Really. That's where the word, and then when you go further from the European side into the so-called steppes and all of that, that's where you get the Eurasian words, right? But when you go into the ancient peoples of Eurasia, you're going to go into the Thracians, you're going to go into the Scythians, and these people was melanated, dark skin. You understand what I'm saying? These people was not what we were taught that they look like. So it's the same thing, going back to what I was saying with the Egyptians digging up our ancestors, turning them into paint. Do you know that a lot of the paint that was used to paint the pictures that Picasso and these niggas was doing was painted with the pigmentation that they got from grounding up mummies? That it was called mummy brown, mummy red, Indian red, umber, dark umber, burnt umber. These are all shades that they took from grounding our ancestors up and turning them into paint. They was eating them. They was having mummy stew. When the white man first got out there, when the Jews first got into the pogroms, when they was trying to basically give themselves legitimacy, basically they started squatting. Between 1899 and like 1930, they went into Egypt as like homeless people and was like just squatting. And enough of them from Central Europe was going off of visas given to them, paid for them by Lord Rothschild. And once the Balfour Agreement was made, then they started an influx of homeless Khazarian Jewish people who had no genetic connection to the ancient patriarchs. Not saying that the Egyptians that was there at the time had relations with them either. They didn't either, but they was more natural to that environment than the Russian Jews that they was importing. You understand? So they both colonizing. Let's keep it real. Like they both, you know what I'm saying? They both taking advantage of the fact that we ain't there. So they both coming up. It's just one had a bigger bankroll as we start moving into the time of fiat currencies and central banks and shit. And then they basically leveraged themselves enough to be able to disenfranchise the government was already there. So by the time the Egyptian so-called government that basically was appointed by the British was already there, they was like, well, nah, we not backing you up. So basically you just gave us this country, Egypt, so you could eventually use this as a beachhead to set up what you really want, which is this fake puppet state of Israel, which according to the laws of Israel is illegal. Their God Yahweh said that they not supposed to have their own state. This is what they God say. That's how they got in trouble the last time. But they let these other people who are calling themselves Jews, who are not of Judah, use their name to go in there and then with the help of the devil, set up a puppet state that the West, i.e. the Vatican, the United States, Britain, France, right? Germany, Belgium, right? The six-headed beast that you read about in Revelation. All them niggas could get money so they could keep Africa destitute, right? Keep Europa on top and then use us as the slave crop to keep the whole cycle going. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's the problem. So everybody fronting. The Egyptians is fronting the same way the Siberians over here in the plains and shit is fronting. Y'all not from here. Y'all from Siberia. Like I said, show me somebody that was here over 380,000 years ago. You can't do that. So first in time, first in line. Sorry. And that's from father. That's from so-called black man to so-called black man. We're not even talking about Eve. We're not even talking about Lucy and all of that shit they talking about. Because that's how they try to trap you up too. Like, oh yeah, Lucy was the first African woman that they found in Africa. Lucy is a primate. Stop trying to associate me with primates when I was here before them. I grew up analogous. I evolved analogous to them. I was never an ape. Because if I was an ape, then that means I could be an ape now.
Exactly.
So, and if we was apes, then and we evolved from apes, then what are apes still doing here? You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. That's like telling me I'm on a ball spinning through space at such a velocity speed that I can't feel the movement. But if I get up right now and walk to the bathroom, I feel the movement of my leg. What are you talking about? Like, it's just, we just believe the most idiotic shit. And then when we don't, they want to gaslight us to say that, you know, we toxic and masculine and shit. When masculinity is the only reason why the devil hasn't won. The only reason why he ain't win, because man's still here. And I just showed the proof to you that we was here before him. We was here before the devil. Before anybody even thought of a devil, we was here. Before y'all was Muslims, before y'all was Christians, before y'all was whatever y'all was, we was here like this, watching y'all decide what y'all gonna be. Think about that, yo. Like you, what you gonna do with the people like that? What you gonna do with people like that? You can't rule over them. You can only make them forget. And that's what they did.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely made us forget. They made us forget a lot. And that just speaks to where we at now. Brothers such as yourself who are bringing us and reminding us of who we are. And I want to just make ask one more question in the context of Noble Drew Ali, and then we can move on. But one of the things I appreciate about what you do is the fact that you say specifically in your descriptions on your videos, what I'm saying, about people making sure that we support more information, and giving credit where credit is due, and how certain people are taking pieces of it and not giving acknowledgement to the Moors or to the Prophet. And what we've witnessed, all of us has witnessed, throughout the past, at least 20 years, but let's just say the past 10 years, even more so, is individuals using the Moorish paradigm for their own personal, reasons. And then when they're approached with certain information that they themselves, like you said, they're not even equipped to address, whether it's nationality, whether it's anything, they resort to slander. Last week, I did a video on the guy, Tariq Nasheed. What I'm saying? He put out something, he was just really just slandering Noble Drew Ali. And I see there's a lot of that coming up. What are your thoughts about, that type of mindset that seems to kind of seep away every now and again?
Like I said, man, I was here before a lot of these guys. You know what I mean? I was here for a lot of these guys. And I was here when people like him was choosing people for their little projects and shit like that. And you know what I mean? You gotta understand, they know who to involve with stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I said, all of these niggas got feathers in the closet, first of all. You know what I'm saying? They all got feathers in the closet. They all came up under some sort of grandfather or knew somebody who was a Freemason, or somebody in their family was concealing the truth. And these niggas came up in that. And a lot of these guys agreed to go along with that concealment in the hopefully that they could move up and basically glean aspects that they could control from it and use it to their benefit. You know what I mean? Like creating a fake nationality for people to identify with. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to do that, cool. But the people who identify with that nationality that you've invented, you should let them know that you own the trademark and the copyright on that. And that if they want to use that name outside of dealing with you, they're going to have to pay you money for that. The Prophet ain't never do that.
Exactly.
Prophet ain't never said that you had to pay him to be Moors. He never did that.
Nope.
And like I said, if it wasn't for him doing what he's doing, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing. Because everything that everybody's doing is based on what he did. None of y'all niggas was here. None of y'all niggas had to touch the type of money that he had and when he was alive. None of y'all niggas could be as virtuous as he was. So y'all had to create lies. And y'all had to perpetuate the lies that was created at the time of his birth. Because you are descended from the same agents that sold him out. Because the same agents that sold him out are the same niggas propping people up like dude in front of the people and making them believe that they could be something based upon what he say they are. But again, the people want to do that because they just fight Moors. So what they do is they try to throw all of this negativity shit about Moors to people that's just waking up. And because people are sheep, and because people don't read, and because people like him have been pumping out fakeness and bullshit, You know what I mean? Like you use the Moors to come up in your first DVDs, your first 2 DVDs, and then after that, now it started to go into some straight slave Negro, butt breaking. I gotta, show black men getting their assholes blowed out and shit. Like this is what you think niggas need to really talk about. But if you'd have put that shit in the first videos that you came out with, no, that wouldn't happen. The only shit that sold them first 2 pieces of shit videos was the fact that it was all about the Moors. Facts. Like, it's not, I'm not even saying it because I'm a Moor. I'm saying that because I was a part of the culture at the time that this nigga brought this to the people. And you put Moors like Valentine and these people in your shit. So now all of a sudden, they bad. And that just so happens to be at a time that you trying to pump yourself up to be the leader for your fake little crew. You see what I'm saying? That you moving into whatever position that you want to be in because you want to get you some reparation money. That's cool, man. You know what I'm saying? And I know, I've watched it. Everybody that has tried to shit on the Prophet Noble Jarleen in this community has been thoroughly ass whipped. Go back and do the research from when it started. When they started this fake debate culture in the shit and all of that. Like I said, I was there. I watched y'all niggas do all of this. I watched this setup. I'm the one that said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm the one that said, no, I'm not going to take this money to debate this idiot because the police gave him to you so that way you could prop him up in the community so people can feel like he's somehow knowledgeable because he bested Aseer in a debate. Like, I know what y'all doing. This just like boxing. It's just like rap. It's just like movies. It's just like any rigged system that y'all niggas have come in to retard the actual upward mobility that you seen people having. Like, you could say people say what they want about the Moors, but I was in the conscious community back when different groups was almost vying for situation, for almost supremacy, but everybody was working together. The Moors went to the top of that shit. To this day, the only people making as much noise as them is the Hebrews and their Moors, whether they realize it or not. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not caught up in set tripping, in sectarianism, in deterministic feelings and thinking. A lot of so-called melanated groups that's dealing in so-called Black liberation consciousness are deterministic. And the problem with deterministic feeling is that there is no wiggle room for innovation. You see? So you become so strictly localized and locked down to the determinized idea. So deterministic worldview is that everything is already preordained to be how it always is going to be. So regardless of what you do, there can be no influx or no change in that position. You see? So that rigid aspect, right, is they try to act like is a form of stoicism, right? Which stoicism, or to be stoic, is to have a reserved but observant interaction with the world around you. Whereas the determinists, they're like, well, everything is already structured anyway, so I need to basically be a part of the order, you see, that is going to maintain that structure, whatever that order is. So it could be the Freemasons, it could be the military, it could be the SS, it could be whatever. They don't care. So long as they're serving a deterministic idea that they can control other people with, you see? That is the goal. So whether it's Marxism, communism, Black liberation theology, anything that they are using to try to guilt you into being that. So they can't stand on their own merit. So they got to throw dirt at shit that you like, you see, or stuff that has already been proven. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali came and was already proven what he did. To the fact that we're still here today, and niggas today, 200 years later, is still trying to copy what he did and still doing the same tactics that they was doing in 1920 to do it. Fact. This is how pathetic these niggas are. This is how broke these niggas are. Because their ego is what is allowing them to attract people to them. Not their works, not their deeds, not the production of what their words bring about. You see, has nothing to do with that. It's all about looking flashy. It's pimping. They pimping. They looking flashy, right? What do pimps do? They use flashy shit. And wasn't this dude a pimp at one time? Didn't I see him on a Michael Moore show going to pimp the Congress, right? With the cane and the big hat and the pimp walk and all this shit, right? This y'all niggas leader? This who y'all want? Cool. I'm not even mad at it. Because people like that is so, movements and people like that is so beyond where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Like that's light years behind where our people really are. Y'all niggas is still debating on whether or not y'all was brought over here as slaves. You understand? They still dealing with that. I'm dealing with the fact we done been here over 385,000 years. So that means any law put down on earth came from us. The fuck are y'all niggas talking about? So why do I gotta follow what this new nigga talking about? When he just regurgitating shit that people look like me already gave him to put in position, to wrangle the minds of stupid people like him. So that way they can move in a certain way that doesn't allow the culture to stagnate. So that way the real people move into society, people like us, are free to do that because people think that it's really this nigga doing it. No, he's just a means to an end. Allah got him and a bunch of these flunkies out here just doing what they need to do to make it look like it's something that's not, because they're not strong enough or they're not man enough to stand on their own merits, because they got shit that's out there in the world that contradicts the shit they saying now, period.
Yep. That's real.
So,
that's real.
You know, and again, this is no hate to nobody.
Right.
If you that movement, work that movement, man. If you feel that's where it's going to get you, get it. I believe in freedom, justice, and equality. So if freedom to you means you need to be enslaved by somebody else, I support you doing that. I support you going into that slave system if that's what you think your freedom is going to come from. Just don't bring that shit over here. Because over here we got nationalities. Over here we got plans of action. Over here we're dealing with the next 250 years. You know what I'm saying? Over here we dealing with what we're going to do about the agricultural situation. How we're going to establish homes. How we're going to establish sustainable environments and shit like that. Y'all niggas is talking about how y'all going to get this money out this white man pocket. That's basically where y'all at. So be there. And while they're doing that, you got the other ones out here deciding whether or not, well, I'm Aboriginal, I'm Indian, I'm not Black, I'm not Moor. But the through line with all of these so-called movements is their disdain for Moors, though. But ain't no Moors ever do nothing to them.
Exactly.
Most of them just heard about Moors. So who is the Moor hater? Who is the El Cid amongst y'all that's trying to turn you against it? So you the type of person to choose one ancestor over the other. Okay. And y'all niggas wonder why y'all cursed. Y'all wonder why y'all movements and shit don't work. Because you stayed dissing your ancestors, you stayed dissing your family, you stayed causing wedges between the niggas that can help you today, right? You stay pimping your women, you stay creating false nationalities, false ideologies to get people caught up in so you can make some money, so you can build not a school, not a temple, not a library, not a sustainable housing. You just build some shit that people can come see something, look around, and go home. There's no communal infrastructure. There's no none of that. Not to mention, if they use that term and they get too big for using that term, you're gonna sue them, buddy. Buddy is gonna sue y'all. He's gonna sue y'all for trademark infringement and copyright infringement for using titles that he done came up with that he can make money off of in the future. So if you want to write a book about being a such and such, you better get clearance from him, because it's going to be like sample clearances. These niggas going to start trying to copyright and trademark information. You know what I'm saying? So that way money off the real scholars and stuff that they know is to come. You see what I'm saying? Because
Right.
and that's basically going to supplant them. So nobody wants to support their replacement. So they're going to keep people as brain dead and as caught up in running back and forth and hating Moors as much as they can. So keep doing it. Because people like me, real Moors that's out here in the world that have discussions with not just Moors that's like American in the world, but like Moors in different countries. Y'all don't realize that. That's what they don't get.
Yeah.
There's Moors in other countries that I talk to on weekly basis. More in Mauritania, Cameroon, Germany, Swaziland, places you wouldn't even think. Indonesia, and they saying the same thing. Yo, I said, why is these niggas in my country on some other shit? How come they not claiming their nationality? Because the same sellouts here is over there doing the same thing. Because in every country, there's a Freemason lodge, right? Where these niggas get together and decide how they're gonna retard the communities around them. Because that is the beast. When they talk about the great beast with the great tentacles, that's it, y'all. I don't know if y'all know, but that's it. Yes, you can be a Mason, but guess what? You existed before Freemasonry even existed.
Exactly.
Before niggas was giving each other handshakes and pass grips and lion's paw grips and all this bullshit. You existed. You was here before niggas had hands to do all that shit with. And you worried about that? You understand? You existed before aprons. You existed before they codified this shit. It's all based on how you naturally were.
Yeah.
You had people who would come and be behind bushes and rocks and draw you and write what they would see you doing. Like what you see in National Geographic. That's how they would do.
Right.
And be like, okay. Then they would go back to places like Europa and be like, yo, this is okay. This is how you eat with a fork. This is how you use soap. This is how you write. This is how you light fire. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Y'all niggas is way downstairs when it comes to your overall footprint in reality. You really don't get it.
They study us. They've always studied us.
Yo, man, they really don't get it, man. They want to act like I'm gods and we all of this and yeah, you don't believe that shit, Bree. You don't believe that. Because if you was God, you wouldn't have got vaccinated, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop the cap, yo. Stop the cap. All y'all niggas believe the white man, the devil. Half these niggas that was talking you this shit was telling you, making DVDs when I was coming up about why you don't take the flu shot and this and that. These the first niggas to get it. The first ones to get it. The ones telling you the white man, the devil. These are niggas running to the white man getting it. I know a rapper. I don't know him personally, but I know a brother who know a real famous rapper, real conscious famous rapper. One of the rappers that came out and inspired me to get knowledge of self through the nation, gods, and earth. This nigga's a nurse. This nigga got it. This nigga went and got it. This the one that told me in his music, in their music.
I already know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying?
I know who you're talking about. He's in my area. You said nerd.
God.
I already know.
So that's what I'm saying, God. Like, don't gaslight me. Don't try to make me feel like you really with this so-called black power shit and all y'all niggas just waiting for the white man to win. That's what y'all doing, man. Y'all waiting for the white man to win. And guess what? He was never to win in the first place because the real white people was black people. And that's what they don't want to accept. That the real Europeans, the real Asians, the real Indians, the real this, they're all were melanated people. And that the cultures that exist today were a part of the human bouquet, the flowering of what became humanity based upon the work that we put in. If it wasn't for no Moorish harems that was controlled by the Moorish priestesses, there would be no Spaniards. There would be no Asians. None of that would exist. Y'all wouldn't even be here. There would be no so-called Arabs. Y'all would not exist. That's because the oldest genetic DNA haplogroups are found in us. Sorry. What's up, King? It's my son.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? It exists with us. The most genetic diversity that you will ever find, you will find in places where, like Africa. You won't find no genetic diversity in Europa. What genetic diversity is in Europe? What are you talking about? Where is it at? It don't exist. That's why it's being repeopled now. So you mean to tell me that so right now, if a bunch of people from Senegal, they all moved to France, and in 100 years, their ancestors, their children are in the government. Does that mean then that they were always the French people there running the government? No. No. Because in the end, if they trace their lineage back, it goes to a time when people that was like them wasn't there. You see what I'm saying? So if you could do that with every culture except us, what does that mean? That means that we was here first. That means that we'll always be here. That means you can nuke this place. You can burn it. You could break it. You could bury it. You could flood it. You can do whatever you want to do to it. We will still be here looking just like this. Just maybe a little smaller or taller, bigger or shorter. Like I said, the most genetic diversity you're going to find on the planet is in Africa.
Right.
Go. You want to find the tallest person in Africa, tallest person in the world, go to Africa. You want to find the shortest person in the world, go to Africa. You want to find the darkest person in the world, go to Africa. You want to find the whitest person in the world, go to Africa. Go to Africa. That's all there. You want to find Spanish-looking people, go to Africa. You want to find Chinese-looking people that was ancient before China existed, go to Africa. You want to find now where all of that genetic diversity that existed bloomed at? Come to America. You want to find somebody with the DNA of everybody in the world? Come to find the so-called African, the so-called American, Black, North American, whatever you want to call them. That's the only place you're going to find it. You ain't going to find it in the Siberian. You ain't going to find it in the European, the Caucasian European that came over on the transatlantic slave trade, a.k.a. Ellis Island. You ain't gonna find it nowhere else but us. To the point, this nigga, this dude, Kyrie Irving, on his sneaker with black tape, with the black duct tape, wrote on his sneaker, Black Moorish, what did it say? Black Moorish something. Black Moorish rise or some shit like that or whatever. And Moors was still upset. Still upset. Still mad. Why? Because he put the black in front of the Moor. The blacks are in front of the Moors. What are you talking about? That's what they doing. That's what they've been doing. They're always putting blacks in front of Moors. Why? Because blacks are easy to control in Moors. You could do anything you want to a black. You could say whatever you want to say to black people. You could do whatever you want to do. You could take whatever you want to take from black people. You can't do that to Moors. You can't do that because the laws of the several states are enshrined in the preamble to the Constitution, the preamble to the Articles of Association, the preamble to the Articles of Confederation, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the surrender of Grenada, the Moroccan Tahrir, the Moorish Geodetic Survey, the proclamations from all of the several states. HJR 75. We put that in a month before they went into the 1933 bankruptcy. So before they went in and took everybody's money, they had to set a provision for Moors to be able to claim their nationality. So that way, when this shit happened, we wouldn't be affected by it. But they want to tell you, oh, United States is institutionally racist. Show me a law right now that says that black people are prohibited from doing anything. I'll wait. Show me a law right now that says if you black, you can't go here. If you white, you can't do this. Show me that law. It don't exist. It don't exist.
So what would you say about those who would come up with the Christian black codes? Because you hear people talk about the Christian black codes.
Why are you referring yourself to black codes, number one, if you're not black? First of all, that's number one.
Right.
That's number one. So if you have a nationality, that shouldn't have nothing. You shouldn't even think about that. That has nothing to do with you. You understand? That's number one. Number two, them shit was written in 1723. What are you talking about? It's 2023. Right? We're in 2023. You talking about some shit that happened in 1723 that was overturned in 1965? What are you talking about? What you think niggas was getting beat in the head in the what you think Martin Luther King got these niggas get beat up for? What you think they did all that for? So that way they would have the right to go into areas that wasn't specifically theirs. What does that mean? That means that they had their own areas. That was theirs. That was separate from white people.
Exactly.
So that means what? That means that they had their own schools, their own libraries, their own policemen, their own towns, their own. Didn't they?
Yep.
Didn't we see
Exactly.
that?
Exactly. Rosewood, all of that.
All of that, right? They had their own oil wells. I got pictures of black people, of melanated people in Tulsa, Oklahoma, pulling 3,000 barrels of oil a day out the ground. Before there was a Rockefeller, before there was any of these niggas that they made you think invented oil drilling. You know what I'm saying? So again, where is the institutional racism y'all niggas is talking about? I'm not saying racism don't exist. I'm not saying that people are not in positions and are racist, and that people send their own people who are part of racist groups to become part of political associations to be able to manipulate those political associations for their racist views, right? Guess who invented that though? Didn't I just say that that's what we did?
Yes.
Didn't I say that whatever the religion was the day, the science of the day, that we could just take that up, use our shit, politically use it the way that you today. The same way that melanated people can be black liberation theology minded, but still be a Democrat or Republican. It's the same way we would use religions. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The same way we would use those religions to couch what we really wanted to do. And while all of the niggas was focusing on the religion, we taking the science and the accumulated power of that and creating a way to bring people back to the original aspect of what they were supposed to be dealing with. So that's what they do. So again, where's the institutional racism? Britain was the first country in the world to ban. You know how many British sailors died trying to free themselves from slavery? From us. From us. We was the ones enslaving everybody. We was the ones doing it first. Better. Better than you. Better. You understand? We had an institution. You understand? Where white people would never be free. They would never be free even now if they didn't do what they did. And they did it at the right time because we got so whack with the shit that we start doing it to one another. Then some of us start kidnapping them, using them to disinherit us by proxy, and then taking our property and renting it to them to get money. This shit just happened today. Why you think when anything happened with black people, the first thing they ready to do is shoot each other? Because the problem started with me and with us.
Right.
Because we were thrust in cultures that were warring. You was a prisoner of war of, let's say, the Mandinka, and then they bring somebody in from a warring tribe with you, and then they would try to force you to mate with this person. And then if you didn't do it, they kill both of y'all. So now you gotta hate sex this person. You see what I'm saying? And then produce seeds from that. And then they would take that seed and then try to take that seed and then force that seed to then mate with your mother. You understand what I'm saying? That's the type of shit that dirty Moors was doing. So just because the Moors was the ones in power don't mean that they wasn't any less corrupt. But they were virtuous longer than they were not. And their falling is what resulted in the rise of Western civilization. So on our worst day, we were still more redemptive than these devils today, both black and white. So what does that say? Because right now, if our ancient Moorish ancestors from the real, I'm talking about the real Moors, the Moors like Pai Mei, where if you don't give them the right salutation, they cut your head off. These type of Moors. Them Moors was to come back today, we'd all be dead. They'd kill us first. They would start with us. And they'd be right. And they'd be right, because half of us is out here wilding, yo, trying to be everything. I'm a Moor, but you know, I'm gonna put on this apron just in case. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm a Moor, but you know, I'm a still, you know, take this honorary degree from these Scottish Rite niggas just in case, you know.
And act like that's something special.
Like that's better. Like that's little better. That's like illuminated toilet paper. You know what I'm saying? It's like illuminated toilet paper. Like that's cool, man. But look, man, moral science will never be Freemasonry. Freemasonry is an expression of European Orientalism. And that is a form of idol worship. And the idol is us. Freemasonry is based on a murder. Okay? Anything based on a murder is evil. Period. So that's it. So they killed Hiram and they made a ritual about it. And in order for you to join today, you gotta go along and play the victim in the ritual. You gotta go through and be killed by them to be their brother. And you think that's cool? You think they give you some sort of up on me because I ain't go through that? Because I ain't gonna lay in a coffin and jerk off and tell these niggas my story, or I'm not gonna have a chemical wedding and you gonna marry me to a 7-year-old boy. That's what they do, you know.
Moor, you just said something. I just had this conversation with a Moor earlier today about that ritual. Just had it today. Yeah. And he didn't even know about it. And I said, yo, that's a Rama Biff. Yeah. He's like, and you talking about it right now.
Yeah, God, like, yeah, you're Hiram Abiff. You're the one that the ruffians, that the Jews. It should be in the Jordan. I don't have it in here. Yeah, that's your Hiram Abiff. The 3 Jews are the ruffians, Jubilah, Jubilo, and Jubilam. They beat you in the head, right? Hit you once in the east, hit you in the head in the east. Then you got hit in the head in the east. Then you got pushed to the south. They hit you head in the south, right? Then they hit you in head in the west, right? Then they buried you in a shallow grave in the north, right? Then they put the acacia leaf over your burial ground. The acacia leaf represents the Milky Way, which represents the firmament, and then they agree to keep that secret. Then they put an apron on to represent their nakedness, the fact that they're ashamed of their phallus, because that's what that means, you know. That the Masonic apron means that you have a small penis. I don't know if y'all know that. That's why we gave it to them. That's why they wear it. That's why we gave it to them, to conceal their nakedness when we marched them across the hot Arabian desert into the caves of West Asia, which is now Europa. And when they got there, they were so savage. And we put them on little goats. And they had to ride the little goats because they were so small and weak that they couldn't take the journey walking. So the ones that couldn't do it, we put them on the little goats and they rode the goats. That's why you got to ride the goat, Roger, in order to get your degree, right? They say, oh, you got to ride that goat. This is what they mean. So again, they'd have turned you into the devil. They'd have turned you into the grafted made devil, put you on the little goat while they're on the camels, on the what do you call it? The Bactrian camels, the double hump camels with the high powered rifles and shit, walking you to the cave. Right? Then, that's what the apron is. So all of that stuff is, connected to Egypt and all of that. Yeah, but that was the game that the dirty Egyptian priest was given to the Macedonians and shit that was coming over there, and they was getting money off of them. Like if you used to go to New York right now, and you get off a certain place, and you got all them Africans out there, hey brother, come over here, come into this, and blah blah blah. That's how they was doing them niggas. And when they got off, they would take them into little alleyways and shit and do fake little Egyptian ceremonies for them. And these niggas were so, they would give all of their silver, then they go back to Macedon or go back to Manoah or go back to Corinthia or go back to Doria or whatever, and then tell everybody, yo, I got the Egyptian secret, son. This is how it really go. No, that's just what the dirty priest was giving y'all niggas to get some shekels. You know what I'm saying? And the same game is being run today by the same people, man. It's the same shit. How name one thing that we said today is false? They can't, because it's the same dudes. And then in Europe, then the Moors did the same thing in Europa. And during the Dark Ages and shit, during the Dark Ages, they didn't have nothing. They didn't have nothing, and they was totally under the yoke and foot of the Khan and them in Asia, right? The Khan now, that's our cousin. You know what I'm saying? That's our cousin. The Khan is the cousin of the Sultan, basically. You did? So they in a Khanate, we in a Sultanate. And we both making money off of these West Asians. We both keeping these niggas in the dark. But me, they don't even know I exist. They don't even know this part of the world exists. That's how much he kept them in the icebox to get that, to keep them like that. It wasn't until we went into Europa and opened it back up for them. That's what caused the beef between us and the Khan. Then the Khan and them in the 13th century tried to invade. And then our cousin, Abu Bakari, right, sent his peoples over in the 13th century. And then we shut that down. Then the prisoners of war that the Khan sent over, who were the Siberians, got put on plantations, as well as the African mercenaries. So the Siberian mercenaries got put on reservation, got put on POW camps that we'll call reservations that existed in the plains, right? And then the African dark-skinned mercenaries, right, that was coming over, they got put on the plantation systems in the South that was being run by the Confederacy people that look like us. You see? That's why when the slaves got freed, they transferred the ownership. You see? Because now they were going to use these disproportionate slaves to get rid of the rest of us. And then allow the slaves that did this, the white slaves who did this, to then become citizens under them. And then give those white slaves limited jurisdiction over us. See? Simple. We making it hard. If reparations is really like that, how many of y'all niggas is petitioning Ghana or petitioning Burkina Faso or any of these other African nations for sending y'all niggas over here? Why you keep going to Europe? That wasn't where the supply chain started, you know, according to the story.
Right, according to the story.
According to the story. So is this why Ghana is giving free citizenship now? Because they don't want to share that reparation money directly to niggas. So we'll just give a passport real quick. Why wouldn't they? It's all a scam. They all scamming. That's not even Ghana. That's Benin. What are y'all talking about? Ghana's an English word. Don't y'all understand? How are y'all an African nation with an English name? What?
Nigeria. That's another one.
Am I bugging?
Right.
So yeah, okay, y'all got your own country, Nigeria, but y'all was named by Lady Fleur when she was leaving.
Right.
When she was leaving, she's like, you know what? Call this place Nigeria. I'm out. And y'all did it to this day. And again, I'm not trying to diss the Nigerian people. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about y'all governments. I'm talking about the secret Freemasons that's running y'all societies, man. That got y'all still worshiping European gods, and y'all wondering why y'all still not getting what y'all supposed to get, man. Why you think all the Africans go to Europe for holiday? Because all of the ruling people in Africa was really from Europe. They brought all of them niggas over there during the age of new imperialism. Look it up.
Yeah.
And then the white administrators that they left in Europe to man their houses ceased to recognize them as ancient landowners and basically said that we're going to keep, if you come back here, you're going to be dispossessed. So you stay there and open up a colonial system now for people that look like us to come over there and do that. And then we'll give you back access to your estates. And they agreed. And they agreed. Idi Amin, why you think that? Why would they make a movie about an African dictator and then call it The Last King of Scotland? Anybody wonder that? Why did Idi Amin have bagpipes at his funeral? Anybody? Nobody thought to look into that.
Right.
Yeah. And this is exactly why our people messed up. Because we don't ask, we just see movies and shit and don't ask no questions. We're like, word, okay, he had bagpipes. That's cool. Like, no, man. Just like this family, the family that just went through all of this shit to get their property back, to get the beach, the Bruces. Do you know that the Bruce bloodline goes all the way back to Robert of Bruce? Who's Robert of Bruce? Robert of Bruce is the nigga in Braveheart who took over the army at the end after they disemboweled Mel Gibson. Because all of them people was melanated and Moors too. Bruce, McGillicuddy, McGuffin, McDoug, McDougal, McDuff, all of those are melanated black people names.
The Max, yep, that's right.
The Micmacs, the Max, all of that come from the Pictish and the early Britons. All of them niggas was coming from a place they call Scotia, that they now call Scotland, and that was an Egyptian colony. So all of them stories of the leprechauns and all that shit, all of that shit is about black people. All that stuff is black people, man. And what did the Bruces do? Go through all of that, and now they sold the beach back to the white man for less money. So when I saw that, I said, yo, black people doomed, man. They doomed. They doomed. Because this is the thought process of black people. This is where they at. That's why I said black people will give everything up and keep nothing. Black people will allow anything to happen to them and not do shit. Black people will do everything to anybody but themselves. Black people are the only people on the earth that wake up, and if they in the street and shit like that, they wake up with the thought of killing somebody that look just like them. They the only people in the world that do that. Moors don't do that.
No.
Moors don't do that.
No. It's something, because you just speak to it about how far, these Asiatics have fallen in that mind state where, that goes back to in the Circle 7, straying after the gods of Europe of whom you know nothing. But we talking about the pale skin mindset. And, it every time I think about it, and when I hear you speak on it, it makes me feel so glad that I came across this Moor science, man, because it's like taking the pill to wake up from the matrix. You know what I'm saying? It just really lets you know, like, yo, all that they doing is a distraction.
See, really not to cut your wisdom, but we got to realize about the Matrix movie and what the real science I think that people have missed is that the Matrix, the people inside the Matrix, people outside the Matrix, right, are all the Matrix.
Gotcha.
All of it is the Matrix. The part you like and the part you don't like is the same part. You keep trying to get Neo and Morpheus and Trinity over here and Smith, the Matrix, and whoever else, and the Merovingian and shit over here, when they're all functioning in the same realm.
Correct.
They're in the same universe. The Matrix is trapped in bio-life. Bio-life is trapped within the Matrix. You see? They are synonymous. You can never get out of it. Because to get out of it would be to literally step out of time and space itself. And you can do that. but you have to have a clear understanding of self and be able to negotiate the limits of your mind where you are phasing from being a man into spirit or into the part of you that is not human. Because human means monster, right? So humanity is really Monsters University. You understand what I'm saying? If you notice, the monsters in Monsters University, as an example, lived in a parallel dimension.
Right.
That was only accessible through doorways, right? Because doorways or archways are natural portals. And every portal that you walk through brings you into a different octave or frequency within the realm that you're in. You ever go into a room to get something, and when you walk into the room, meaning past the doorway, you forgot what you went in there to get?
All the time.
Yes, because you've passed through the doorway. So you're now into another dimension. When you go to sleep at night and wake up, do you automatically remember the dream?
Not on
No, but you're awake, right?
Right.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't understand how subtle nature, the subtle difference between nature and hyper nature. You see what I'm saying? The subtle difference between the three brains that you have. You have three brains, right? You have the one up here, right? You have the heart, and then you have the gut.
Right.
Each one has synapses specifically for it and can think for itself. Your heart thinks for itself. Your stomach thinks for itself. Your stomach don't do what you tell it to do. Your heart don't do what you tell it to do. It do what it do, right? You don't got to tell your heart to pump. You ain't got to tell your stomach to eat. Your stomach tell you when to eat.
Fact.
Right? Your heart tell you when you need to get a checkup, right? Your brain tell you when it hurt. You don't do that because you don't live in this thing. You occupy it. It exists for you to exist in. So if you mess it up, that's on you. But it has three mechanisms that run simultaneously, but they only tell you about one and the effects of one. They'll tell you that that let's say the vaccine will do this, will affect this, or these are the side effects for it, but it won't tell you specifically what's in it. Or they'll tell you what's in it, but they won't tell you what it do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And people go for this. People are like, okay, fuck it, whatever. Why? Laziness, apathy, mind control, stupidity. See what I'm saying? Sloth, gluttony, envy. That's the average so-called black person in the street, everyday life. You understand?
Yep.
Because they tell themselves that's their life. So it is.
Indeed. And not to cut your wisdom, I just add on to what you were saying about the three brains. It's not even amazing. We know it is, but it is. But when I started studying like Qigong, and it talks about the three jewels, you know what I'm saying? That's the same science, which obviously we know all that comes from melanated people. We were the originators of the science, but now you'll hear little things that Europeans talk about it here and there, when this was always a science that we in our right state of mind was in tune with, knowing how to move that energy. So I was just wanted to add that to what you were saying.
Facts.
But, yeah.
Facts, bro. That they gave you the religion, and while you going back and forth from the religion, they going heavy on the science. Do you know how many laboratories the Mormon Church got? You know how many observatories the Catholic Church got? You know how many DNA vaults the Seventh-day Adventists and the Jehovah's Witness got? You know how many libraries and all of that the Protestants in them got? You know how many learning centers and stuff that the Kabbalists and the Muslims and them got. You know how many schools the Baptists and the Christians and these things? It's endless. It's endless. Enough to feed the entire world, but not enough to make man love each other. So it's for naught. It don't mean shit. It's another scam. If it's not helping you, it's a scam. So again, you almost gotta now. Like when I was coming up, I had to literally trick niggas into knowledge. I had to make books and shit seem cool. You understand? So when I see these niggas now, who at the time when I was in the trenches, on the street, out here doing what we was doing grassroots movements, doing lectures, doing all this type of stuff, these niggas was out here doing videos, you know what I'm saying, rapping, talking about ass milk and you know what I'm saying? And this type of shit. Like, come on, man. So again, man, not everybody is Malcolm X. Everybody can't go from the street and just become naturally, okay, this dude is like a poet laureate. He's really about, no. That became the blueprint for the new hustle. Malcolm was the blueprint for the new hustle. Now, in order to get niggas knowledge and shit, we're going to use knowledge now to start to get these people into it. Okay, they're getting knowledge. They're getting out of the church. They're getting into chematology. Okay, great. Send Ray Hagans. You see what I'm saying? Like right away. They always got somebody for you. They always got somebody for you. But people like me, who been here forever, who ain't never went and did a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter or any of that to get people to do whatever, who only subsist on the work that I put out, that I create, meaning that I only receive compensation for shit that I actually do. You see what I'm saying? Right. And it's not out here trying to sell you 50 million endorsed products and shit. Like people like us, we don't get supported. We don't. Right. I've had people go to these other people in the community when they had bread. And I'm here and seeing me and have told me shit like, yo, I was really into your stuff or whatever, but you know, for whatever reason, I went with this person and blah, 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 blah. And now, you know, I don't, you know, they basically took all my money and all that. So, you know, can you help me now? Like, word. So now I'm supposed to take the sloppy seconds, right? I'm supposed to be the one and now help redeem you and reinvigorate your belief now back into more science now. Because even though I was out here at the same time, this joker was out here and you saw this joker regurgitating everything I say, you decided to go with him because he had a bigger Twitter following, or you know what I'm saying, he on IG, or you know, I heard such and such and such, or you know, his bio thing, he got, you know, emeritus or grand counsel or whatever on the shit, right? Now, if I don't do it, now all of a sudden I'm worse than him now. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because now I'm not helping you when you down. But maybe I was down when you had bread, and if you would have came to me at the time and what I could give you, it was a fair exchange. But no, you went for the dream because it sounded better than what I was giving. Because all I can give is the truth. I can't offer you no dream. I don't believe that all so-called blacks is gonna make it. They not. Matter of fact, how about this? I don't want them all to make it. I don't think they all should make it. It would be unfair to all of us that actually put in the work. How about that? There you go. I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's fair. All's fair in love and war, right? When the white man take y'all rights and disenfranchise y'all and do whatever he do or whatever, first thing y'all do is cry institutional racism. Then the white man say, well, where's it at? Where's it at? Oh, the FBI put a report that said such and such, all these different organizations have infiltrated, blah, blah, blah. Yes, they did. They did do that. So now what has to happen now is that the citizens have to take the FBI to court to create a law to mandate that these types of religious extreme organizations are no longer viable within any type of law or municipality or governmental position. That's what's supposed to happen. And in some states it did. Let me show you the difference and in solidarity and why as much as people want to always blame, because we're now in the era of everybody hate the white man. Have you seen this, man? Have you noticed this?
Yes, I've noticed it.
Have you seen this? This phenomenon is incredible. I never thought I would see something like that. It is incredible. It really is a mind virus. It's this woke mind virus, which is just repackaged communism, which is really just repackaged municipal Darwinism, which is really just a repackaged Satanism. It's all Satanism in the end. You know what I'm saying? Regardless. Corporatized Satanism, basically. Because all corporations are, the head CEO of all corporation is a demon. If you look up the word Amazon and you break Amazon up, it means the god Zon, right? Because Zon is a god. If you look up Balenciaga, that's dedicated to Baal. You know what I'm saying? If you look up Mitsubishi, excuse me, is it Mitsubishi? See, I think it's Mitsubishi, which is the 7 stars, right? These are
Subaru. Subaru. Yeah.
Subaru, excuse me. Yes. Mazda comes from Ahura Mazda. Look up Ahura Mazda. He was the god that predated Mithra. So all corporations are really just the edified effigies of ancient pagan gods who at one time may or may not have been physically in the world receiving sacrifice. You understand? That's why car companies have a lot of these names too. Like I said, like Mazda, like Honda. So when you go to these car wrecks, these car crashes, those are almost ritual sacrifices towards these gods that these cars is named after. You understand? Like right. Jeep, the word Jeep, that's a Moorish tribe in New York. Look up the Jeep Indians. You know what I'm saying? Like Cherokee, like come on, like so ultimately these corporations, these things, when people go and create them, people who come in to work with them are now agents of that entity. That's why they say that man becomes the fool for the divinity he worships. That's why we Moors raise no God but Allah. But we know Allah is the highest self. Where's the highest self exist? In the physical plane, the heart. See what I'm saying? Right. So again, so Allah is the Lord of the world. So the heart is a world. The mind is a world. The gut is a world. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Heaven, earth, and hell this is heaven. The bottom part, right, is earth. Hell is from the coccyx down. Because that's where you expel everything, right? Wasn't Lucifer expelled? He was expelled the same way you expel a stool. You understand?
Right.
It's coming in the lower extremity. It's hell. When you have a stomach ache or you got constipation and shit, and you finally got to sit down and go, you feel like you in hell. You start sweating, right? You break out. You start, you know what I'm saying? Like you hot, you cold, because your lower extremities, the hell region, Hades, is messed up. Speaking of Hades in the Greek mythology is the only god that was faithful to his wife. Hades was the only god that helped everybody and didn't ask for nothing. Believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? But when you say Hades in regular vernacular, oh, that's the underworld god. He's the devil. The underworld was not evil. It became a place of habitual of evil due to the expulsion, due to whatever is weak in you not being able to subsist, and whatever you cannot use is wasteful. So you have to expel it. You have to get rid of it. So it's the same thing with ideology. It's the same thing with whatever. So if you're a Moor, you want to be a Christian, okay, great, be a Christian. But be a Nestorian Christian. Go back and be what the real shit is. Be the Christ like the old Moors used to follow that could fight. follow that. You know what I'm saying? The nigga
Right.
was sort of like, he was the one. That's why the Christians made so much. Look, we can hate on Christians as much as we want and shit, but we got to, again, stop equating religion with people. You see, and people in religion with colors. There was a lot of Moorish Christian empire that was here, that was in there, that were down with the Moorish Empire, and they were not Muslim, who were Christian, but they was with the greater nationality. They never gave up their nationality as
Right.
Moors and fought together to the point that we was in such harmony that you couldn't tell the Hindu, the Christian, the Buddhist, the Muslim apart. Because they always saying assalamu alaikum. They always speaking right in Kufic. They always, you understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
So you could be whatever you want, man, but just don't be the fake shit. Be the real shit. Be the stuff that actually is going to bring about change in your life. Nobody, the prophet never said, Prophet Nabu Ali never said that you need to get rid of your name, your slave name, and all this other type of shit. He said the slave brands like Negro, black, colored. Your name ain't a slave's name. Your name was adopted by the Slavs. They didn't have no names. Genghis made sure them niggas didn't even have names. These niggas, they couldn't, they lived in holes in the ground, man. Let me tell you this real quick, because we gotta wrap up. But everything comes from something real. Okay? So when these niggas start coming up to you with these fantastic stories about how women can give birth without men and all of that, first thing out your mouth should be, show me the woman to do that. Who's the woman that you've seen in your life to do that? If they can't produce one for you, guess what? That means that it's never happened. This is some shit off the internet they done gave you. But they giving it to you for a reason. It's coming to you for a reason, though. Because you're the one that know better. So Allah know that. So Allah is sending you the fool to raise the fool up. So that way he don't got to walk in darkness. So it's not your role to make him feel stupid for that, or to make yourself superior for that. The Moors never said that they were superior to the Christians. We never said that. We said what makes us better is our noble nature. And that when we came across Christians that had the same level of valor, the same level of gifts, whether they was Hindus, Christians, whatever, we let them rock. And we created an allyship, a confederacy, because it would be better to work with you than against you. And these niggas were probably my cousins anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So everything come from somewhere. So everybody hate witches. Everybody associate brooms. What do you associate with witches? Brooms, right?
Cat, black cat, yeah.
Cats, right? And the moon, right?
Right.
And being burned at the stake, basically. Just for the vulgar, just for the basic aspect. That's what most people associate with witches, right? The reason why people look at them like that was because of the circumstances of the Dark Ages within itself. Remember, the only light in the Dark Ages was the people who had knowledge of self. Okay? So when you think of the poor people in Europa at this time, think of real poor, destitute, Slavic-looking white people living in mud huts, living in holes in the ground, better in barns and shit like that. Then think of the white Freemason Slav who lives a little better than them in a wood house now or whatever, and he's a king, but he live in a barn too. Then above him is the Lord, the barons, the counts, these people, right? The dukes. These are the people, these are the Moors now that's living in the ancient castles and have been ruling over these niggas for however many thousands of years, okay? That's the hierarchy, okay? Got it?
Got it.
So these people were so dirty that they was dying of dysentery and shit because they couldn't cook their food properly, right? Because they didn't even have fire. Some of these niggas didn't even have fire, okay? This is how behind they was. So it wasn't until George came and took pity on some of them that he allowed them to have a degree of Freemason, a degree of civilization, which is what Freemasonry was for. It was to educate the dummies into esotericism. The same way you would talk to children with fairy tales, which are allegories of real stories, right? So this is what we gave them, because we're the real ones. So after 35 to 50 years, a crop of them is good to do with that. So now we free them and accept them as quasi nobles, esquires, right? Now you can hold my shield, you can hold my water, you can hold my crap bucket. You could dump my crap bucket after I finish with it. You know what I'm saying? This is the role they had. So because of this, they became a little bit more enlightened. And so what they would do, they created what they call orders or Franciscan orders, meaning they were free orders that they would go and they would steal the giant books and hide them in the monasteries, and then they would stay there and copy them out in their little fake language in the dark with candles and shit, right? This is the basis of how all information in the modern era came, because the Moors, these books was the size, some of these books was the sizes of buildings. You understand what I'm saying? 2-story buildings. Yeah. Imagine a book that big. Imagine the hand that is reading that book, how big the person is. So the books got scaled down until finally they decide that we are, right? So these dudes was dying so much because of dysentery that was being spread by the rats, right? The plague, they was being spread by the rats. But it wasn't the rats. It was the fleas, right? But it really wasn't the fleas. It was the mites that came from the diseased carcasses, dead carcasses that was being left in the street to decay and shit, that would then that would then mate or whatever with the flea, and then from the flea they would create the aphid. Then the aphid would jump into the rat. Then the rat now is carrying the disease, give it to the people, then start defecating into the food, right? Because they didn't have no cages for these things. When you look at some of these old paintings, you see rats in the paintings, right? So rats was like every day with them. So the rats is defecating in all the foods and shit. Everybody eating the bread. They leveling the bread with rocks, right? So you got ground up rat turd and rock in your food. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then you got dirty water you drinking every day. So the plague is now rampant, right? So the Moors say we got to clean these niggas up, right? Because the time is coming where we going to come back in and set up the universities and all of that. So they got the wild pigs, sent them in there to clean up stuff and all of that, right? Then they did the analysis on the aphids, found that the aphid was connected to the mite was connected to the flea was connected to the rat was connected to the feces connected to the disease, right? They say, yo, so all this shit is based on fact, all these niggas dirty. So the king started having the bathhouses. So we go up in there now, because we got to clean it out before we there. So they set up the bathhouses, right? Then from the bathhouses, we need the libraries. And so all of this stuff starts getting built. These niggas still dying though. So we got to do something, because the Moors don't want to do all of the work. And remember, this is the slave class, these dudes. So we're going to save them. So how do we do it? Well, we said, well, look, man, if this is the case, and it's starting with the rats, and it's starting with the aphids and all that, instead of trying to get rid of the mites and all that, let's start with the rats. So we'll reduce the rats. How do you reduce the rats? You reduce the rats by bringing in the cats. So they started importing cats from Egypt, right? Brought in the cats. The cats started attacking the rats. The rat population started going down, right? Now what also happens is, because a lot of the men who were the slaves was working for the Moors, was out building and doing what they was doing, the women would be home, right? So the women, in order to do it, make sure that the food was kept right, they would make sure they would keep the cat with them. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And they would prepare the food for everybody at night. But remember, they couldn't create gourmet meals, so they would get the slop, throw it all in a cauldron, right? And then brew it up, right?
Right.
So now she's brewing up the gruel for when the nigga come back from working every day for the Moor. She doing it at night under the full moon, like tonight. It's a wolf moon tonight, full moon, right? Then she got a black cat sitting next to her, which represent who? Basset. Didn't I say they brought him from Egypt?
Yep.
So they got the black cat next to her, who's keeping what? The rats away. So what starts to happen? Less rats. That means less rat poop, which means what? Better food, which then means what? Less people dying. So what's causing this? She must be a witch. See what I'm saying?
Right.
Because she used it. So then also, she would also have the broom with her, because when she would be going into the pantry and shit, she would need the broom to do what? Swat away the rats. Right?
Right.
So she's using the broom to basically swat away the rats. She's using a cauldron to fill up the bed of food, because there's no rat turd in the food, because she got the cat with her, and she's doing all of this at night. So now the Moors is realizing, oh shit, this shit working. So now everybody living. So now people stop dying. So now they have more time to do other shit. So now, because the white boys now is getting more better, and because they've in this new system, they now have the ability now to raise up their station. So now they become from Freemasons, from Esquires, from Freemasons to Esquires, now they could become pseudo knights. You see? And now they can hold the banner for the Moor who helped bring them out of that civilization in the first place.
Right.
But then once the Catholic Church and all that shit got shut down after Grenada and all of that, all of this wisdom, they had to get rid of that. So the Catholic Church knew that there wasn't no damn witches doing all of that. They knew this was happening and all of that, but they needed to thrust everybody back into the Dark Ages. So the first thing they needed to do was bring back the rats. In order to bring back the rats, you got to get rid of the cats. In order to get rid of the cats, you got to get rid of the women. See what I'm saying?
Right.
And so to this day, what happens when women get old and they alone? What do?
Get a cat.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
And the cat does what? The purr of the cat sends an electromagnetic frequency through your body. Right. That actually helps heal you. That's why they bring cats into old folks' homes to help them, help rehabilitate them and keep their spirits up.
Mm.
So again, this is where witches really came from. And again, the Moors is again always behind all of these stories. Who's there? A Moor. Right. There's always a Moor at the beginning of it somehow. Not an African, not an Egyptian. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But a Moor. So it is what it is, man. So again, so imagine now. So then years later, after the Renaissance, now here come that old Egyptian charlatan shit that they was pulling on the old Europeans when they was Macedonians. Now here go the witches. Now, hey, I'll tell your fortune. Hey, I'll do this. Hey, I'll do that. You see what I'm saying? They start playing it up to get money.
Yeah, yeah. It's something because you realize where all this started from. Like you said, the Moors are always involved with all of that.
That's it.
That's it.
Bro, and that's why they hate. Because we could always take my finger and show them more who's involved somehow.
Always.
Name anybody. George Washington. Oh, the Baron de Cameron. Oh, his great grandfather married to George Washington, aka George Weston, great grandfather was a French Huguenot Moor who was a turbaned, diadem wearing, earring, Huguenot French Moor. You know what I'm saying? His grandfather. So what that say about him? So I was telling niggas, George Washington wasn't white. That nigga that you see, that's not him. None of these pictures that you see of these people they showing us as white people. Those is people they just picked up off the street after Reconstruction, took their pictures and said, this is what we're going to go with. Put that shit in the archives. The real picture of these niggas is in the National Archives and in the National Freemasonic museums. That's where you see the real pictures of Andrew Jackson and all these people. Half these pictures they done showed you of black people, and half these pictures they showed you of white people is reversed. The nigga they show you is Booker T. Washington is really Teddy Roosevelt. The nigga they show you is old Frederick Douglass is really Rutherford B. Hayes. Like, it's crazy. None of it's real. All of it's fake. Robert E. Lee was a black man. Like, the head of the Confederacy was a black man. But they got us thinking that white mean European and European mean Caucasian. And that's why we losing. We still think that. Black people today still bleaching their skin. Black people today still wearing blonde wigs. Black people today still worshiping gods that have nothing to do with them. Why? That don't even look like them. Why? Why? Because they don't know themselves.
No.
So they could say, hey, I got you from the moon. What you gonna say? You just gonna become a moonie. You just gonna become a moonlet. You just gonna start worshiping the moon. Like, that's what they do, B. And we would be maladapted to constantly try to beat in the head a foregone conclusion. At this stage in the game, I think whoever got it, got it. Whoever don't. And stop trying to convince niggas that they anything other than what they say they are. What they say they are, accept them as that. If they say they Indian, let them be Indian, man. If they say that they, non-binary, trans, whatever, let them be that. Be that. Support them in being that. Just when it comes to them weaponizing that shit over you, that's when you need to stand up and do something. Outside of that, let them suffer to the ground, man. Let them believe what they want to believe. Let them think that being fat is somehow fighting racism like they're doing now. Let them think that Lizzo, who just did a TED Talk on twerking, she did a TED Talk on history of twerking, left out the 3 black sisters that actually set it up. And then afterwards gave $100,000 to Planned Parenthood to kill more so-called black babies. And that's y'all queen. That's who y'all love. That's who they want y'all to be. And so-called melanated women, they're running all of this on your back. So whatever they want to co-sign, they put a black woman in the face of that shit. And she will co-sign that and be the face of it. So the black woman has now become the face of abortion. She's become the face of broken homes. She's become the face of single motherhood. She's become the face of the divorce rate, more divorce rate, all divorces in the so-called black community. They're the ones, 70% of them are the ones initiating the divorces. They're also the ones who are the most educated, right? They're also the ones that are basically running most of governmental agencies right now. You got whole towns that's ran by so-called melanated black women. That ain't bringing crime down. That haven't reduced the level of black men getting locked up in these counties. None of that. None of that fixes that. But if you do the demographics with other ethnic groups, when Hispanic people come in and they, after a generation, start getting into politics and stuff like that, the more they enter into it, the crime in their communities actually goes down. When so-called black people become a part of political establishment, municipal institutions, federal situations, the crime rate in their communities go up. How does that work? It works because before you anything in that society, you are represented by what order sponsored you to get you there. So whether it's Jack and Jill, whether it's Boulay, whether it's Scottish Rite, whether it's Prince Hall, whether it's Eastern Star, whether it's Mechanics, whether it's whatever it is, Rosicrucian, whatever it is, it don't matter. It's something that ties you to the secret so they don't have to worry about you actually being a Moor. It benefits them that you're not this. So if you don't like Moors for no other reason other than what you've been told, keep that up. We don't need you either. Stay on that side. I'd rather people not declare their nationality if they're going to mess it up. I'd rather you just stay what you are, and let's just be allies and work like that. Don't try to bring the same bullshit that you're doing over there, over here, Africa Bambaataa, trying to create the Zulu Kemetic Moors and shit after you done destroyed thousands of lives, right? And put a black guy in the Zulu nation forever. Like, I'm the one who did that, if nobody don't know. I'm the one who stood up in the lecture and was like, nah, you're not doing this. You're not gonna take the Moorish movement and then put this shit with it. It's gonna be one or the other. So much so they buried the tape. So wow. You had to be there to know. But there was a lot of people there that's doing lectures, that's on YouTube and shit today, and they remember. But they ain't gonna talk to y'all about it. Because like I said, man, I've watched these guys from the beginning, and females from the beginning, from when I came into it. Before YouTube, when this was on videotapes, y'all, on VHS tapes, when it was on cassette tapes. I used to listen to lectures in cassette tapes with the Walkman you used to have to put on your head. You understand?
Right.
Half these niggas was out here trying to get rap deals, record deals, movie deals, and all this other shit, and then want to come to us, talk to us about our history. And now, years later now come back trying to regurgitate the shit we've been telling y'all, man. Nah.
Real. That's real. That's real talk. That's real talk, brother.
So,
yeah, absolutely. I just want to say that you done dropped it more. I know. Look, every time you get on, you just tell it like it is, and that's one of the things I respect about you so much is because you tell it like it is, and at the same time you carry yourself in such a way where you understand and comprehend that it ain't all about imposing, like you said, a dogma on anyone else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I can tell as someone who gets into the esoteric knowledge and stuff, I can tell when another brother or sister is like that. And you definitely are one of those, and I honor you for that. I appreciate it. Absolutely.
Brother. Because that's the thing, man. We're not here to convert to nothing no more. The only thing we need to convert into is the truth.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Everything else is just more division. And like I said, man, I was watching this thing, and they were talking about, how black men are abusing their children and this and that. That's not saying that don't happen, but the time that is shifting now. Everybody is waking up to the fact that this country has put so much on so-called black males. Just look at how many black males just in the last month were targeted and had their lives ruined and destroyed. Some by their own doing and making, but for the fact that every news cycle, every day, there's another black man, no matter whether he's rich, no matter he's poor, no matter if y'all like him or not, y'all always crucifying him for something. But the so-called black women could just be out here doing whatever. And that's a false sense of superiority too, because they doing that to isolate her. They want to constantly get her to regurgitate the lie. I don't need a man. I can live my whole life on my own. Because what that says to the predators that's listening is she's alone. She don't have nobody. She open. I can do what I want with her. You understand? And they do. But the stats as it stands now, the people who are abusing, at least, again, I'll send you the stat after so you make a post it if people think I'm hating. But they done came out with the stat that said the people that's aborting the most people and the people abusing the most children, they done put it on the black woman now. So whether that's true or not, don't get upset at me. Get upset at the statistics and the statisticians that have basically put all this together. Because whenever the stats is in their favor, so many black women have graduated college, many black women are this, many black women are successful, and this and that. There's no problems. But the minute it's something to actually hold them accountable for their shortcomings, that's automatically going to get shut down by the algorithm, because this whole thing functions on the ignorance of women and their own power. A woman's power is in being a woman, period. The minute she tries to be anything else, she's powerless. Facts. Your mother, and anybody can attest this, your mother was God to you as a man.
Right.
Until that day that she revealed herself to be just a woman. You remember that day. Every man remember that day. See, women don't know about this. See what I'm saying? They don't know.
Yeah.
The closest they have is, unfortunately, is when something happens where their father, or they're either not there, or he's like abusive or molestive or something like that. With men, is different. We listen to our mothers and do anything our mothers will kill niggas for our mothers, but it get to a day where she do something to you as a man that reduces the mother thing to her, and you start to see her as what she is, a woman. You understand? She'll always be your mother.
Right.
However, that does not negate the fact that she still is a woman, and women are fallible when it comes to their ego. And if you can manipulate a woman's ego, you can control the world. You understand? So the way, how can we prove this is true? We can prove this is true because every feminist argument that has ever come out, they always say, well, in a matriarchal society, this would have never happened. Really? Name one matriarchal society. Name one. You can't. Don't say Cleopatra, because that was from the Ptolemaic period. And we're actually closer. Cleopatra is actually closer to me in time than Cleopatra was to the pyramids in time. So no, you talking about somebody modern. I'm talking about, you're saying that matriarchies, everything was perfect and nothing happened. So if that's the case, where'd they go? Where they at now? Name a society that was solely built by women. Never. You'll never hear one because they don't exist. They don't exist. You know how women build societies? By being women.
There you have it. That's it.
By being women. You build a society just by being a woman. What does that mean? You have babies. That's it. That's it. That's all you got to do. Nigga, imagine if that was your only job, my nigga. Imagine right now, if all you had to do is just sit there and have a baby. That's all you got to do. And you are revered. You are put to the front of everything because of that. By a nigga you helped create. But the thing that came out of you is now raising you up to the pedestal for having it. And that's all you got to do. How is that a bad thing? How is that?
Exactly.
How is that oppressive?
They made that a bad thing. Yeah.
How is it chauvinistic? How is it misogynist to say that all I want you to do is have babies so that way we can have a better society? And I will do everything I can do to make your life as comfortable as possible while you do that. Who would not want that deal? What are y'all talking about? How is it that this deal has worked for 385,000 years? You hear what I'm saying? Because that black man didn't birth himself. You understand what I'm saying? So we've been getting along way longer than we haven't. But now, because we've been fighting for the last 2 days, which basically represents 245 years, now all of a sudden you just going to just not have it. You just not going to be a woman now. Okay, what are you gonna be? A boss bitch, a bad bitch, the baddest bitch. You see what happens when you stop being a woman? You see what happens? Just like when you a man.
Yep.
What happens when you stop being a man? I'm a thug. See what I'm saying?
Savage.
I'm a thug. I'm hard. I'm a real nigga, right? I'm a stepper, right?
I'm a savage. You're right. You're a stepper.
Savage, right? See what
Yep.
happens when you stop being a man? Because when you stop being a man, you become a human. And a human is a monster. So once you're a human, you can do anything. What was Kanye West? What's Kanye one of his biggest records? Monster with Nicki Minaj, right?
Yep.
And I hated the record. I thought it was shit. But hey, they love it. But my point is this. Who's making the record? You got monsters making records about being monsters. That's what I'm saying. Because them ain't men. Them ain't women. You're a man. Right. Your queen is a woman. Your mother's a woman.
Right.
Your brother is a man. Your uncle is a man. Your father is a man. Your mother is a woman. Cardi B is a bitch. I'm not calling Cardi B a bitch.
Right.
I'm saying that Cardi B is a bitch because that's what she identifies with. Because she don't identify with a woman. She identified with being the baddest bitch. She identified with being the bitch with the wop. Right?
Right.
I'm not calling her that. That's what she calls herself.
Facts.
Meg is not a woman. She's a stallion.
Male horse.
Jay-Z is not a writer. He's a biter. But he's bitten so much that he's seen as a writer. You see? Right. Because the devil, because when you open yourself up to evil like that, it worked for you. Evil works. Evil is efficient. Evil gets shit done. Evil know how to flip it, how to spin it. Good only know how to tell the truth. You see? So a lie can be anything in the universe, in the multiverse, except the truth. That's why the truth will always be better than the lie. Yep. But black women don't want the truth. Black men don't want the truth. They want the lie. So the white man give them the lie. But the white man is giving them the lie that he helped perpetuate them create because that was the lie that we gave him. And now he's giving us the same lie. So that's why I equate Freemasonry to Freemasonry is this. If you have a baby, imagine having a baby. I've given this analogy before, but imagine having a baby and then you train the baby how to potty itself, how to go into the diaper and all of that, right? Then in order for you to see if the baby understands this, you put the diaper on and then you get the baby to change you. That's Freemasonry. Why would you study 35 to 50 years to be something you were naturally born as? It's a trap based on a lie, based on a murder of your ancestors. So if you join up with that, any so-called black Freemason, I don't care what you call yourself, what degree you in or whatever. If you into that and you went through the oath to do that, you are the brother of Aleister Crowley. You are the brother of Manly P. Hall. You are the brother of Klaus Schwab. You are the brother of Bill Gates. You are the brother of Stalin, of Mao, of all of these damn devils that have been murdering people for the past 240 years. You're down with them. You're saying that you agree with everything that they've done when you join up with that shit. Facts. Not because I'm hating on you. Because I know. I just happened to come up the way I came up through the Nation of Gods of Earth. So we already knew this. I already knew the science on that. Exactly. But then see, years later, the Nation of Gods of Earth building to be a one-story building that's been the same since almost 1969, and directly across the street, you got a skyscraper that the Freemasonic temples and lodges is in. It's disgusting. They always find a way to look down on the real because the real don't have no help. We don't have no help. Right. If you out here doing what you're supposed to do and you doing right, whether you melanated or not, whether you black, white, Asian, Hispanic, it don't matter. If you a man, they're against you.
Facts.
If you're a woman, they're against you. If you're heterosexual, they're against you.
Facts.
If you have children, they are against you. So I don't care who you are, what you coming through. If you ready to take the devil head, let's do it. If you're not, stay over there. I'm not here to impose moral science on anybody. I'm not here to defend. I don't got to defend moral science. I done put in over 30 years worth of relevant information. That anybody got any problem with anybody that said anything about Moors, go in my catalog and I bet you there's something in there that'll debunk whatever these niggas done told you. I bet you. But I'm not going to take time out of my day, out of my family, out of raising my son, you know what I mean, trying to maintain a strange relationship between my eldest son and daughter because their mothers kidnapped them after certain years, and now I'm trying to reestablish relationships with them as an adult, and they know they accepted what happened. I'm just glad that I have the type of children that I didn't have to go through, oh, well, it's all your fault shit. Because see, me, you can't do that with a person like me because I keep all the receipts. I got it on video. You understand what I'm saying? Like, right. So regardless of whatever they was telling you, there's overwhelming information to prove the opposite. So now what does that do? Now they're both in positions to now see their mothers as fallible women, you see? And that's messing them up because now the Stockholm syndrome is broke. Now they're dealing with reprogramming. Now they got to figure out like, wow, well, if dad was really there and this was really based on what she did, then what does that really say about her? And then what does that say about me? So now they're dealing with all the guilt. They're dealing with, well, damn, maybe I should have fought to be with dad the way that he was really fighting to be with me. Or maybe I should have did something. All of that, you see what I'm saying, is put on them by the person who is deemed as being the one that's the most infallible. And if it can happen to me, imagine the thousands upon millions of other men who have gone through this. Women who were me in this situation going through this.
Right.
But no, so we just want to diss everybody. We just going to say all black people ain't shit, right? Yes, because it's easier than standing up and dealing with shit yourself. And taking responsibility for the fact that, like me, take responsibility for the fact that I didn't want to put them in a position after going through 5 years of now having to go through another 5 years now that I have custody of them now trying to fight me going back and forth. Then I actually win, and then the next week I'm told, well, I'm taking them anyway. What? Then I'm going to the court like, well, look, this is what y'all say I was supposed to do, right? Well, yeah, but we can't do nothing until you do it. See that? But if you sign the bond back over to us that you closed out in the case, we can basically refer it to a different department and try there. See how they do? They know you could be the smartest nigga in the world. It don't matter. We got a brain dead female that's right out there waiting, just waiting to catch you up with some shit. Right? Same thing with the female. You could be the greatest woman, most virtuous and everything. They got a piece of shit nigga out there just waiting, just put him in your life, and then just throw you off. And then now you just done sworn off black men. Now black men, you just done sworn off black women. Who benefit from that? Every other race on the planet but us.
But us.
But us.
Yep.
I guarantee you, China come here and invade tomorrow. The West Indians can go back to the West Indies. They ain't got to pick up a gun at all. The Koreans can go back to Korea. The Chinese go back to China. The Scottish people, you're going to see people running from this place. You know who's going to be left? The black man, the so-called black man, the so-called black woman, the poor white man, the poor white woman. That's going to be the only ones left fighting to save America. Watch. 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 And you know what's going to happen? They're going to win. Then the real fight going to start. Then the real fight going to start. Then it's really going to be that. Because then it's going to be who is the good or evil amongst them. Allah, I'm telling you, Bill Gates done already put out when the new pandemic gonna come through. Gonna come through gonna come through January sometime, 2025. So get your shit ready. So he giving you time. He giving you time at least. But guess what? Time never was when man was not.
That's right.
There never was a time that time began. For surely if there was a time that time began, then surely there would be a time that time would end. Which means this nigga is not going to be able to do nothing. These niggas going to come out with it's going to do the exact opposite. Everything from 2012, I told y'all, everything they've been doing for 2012 to get ahead is going to be revealed almost as soon as they do it. They ain't going to be able to get nothing off. And I'm right. They haven't been getting it. When the last time they put some shit out that y'all believed? 2012. That was it.
That's it.
After that, all bets is off. After that, all fan love and war. After that, they done put y'all niggas into the video game. I told you when I did Science of Superheroes, available at aseertheducateers.com. They was gonna create super villains for y'all to follow. And they were going to use rappers to do it and literally put y'all inside of comic books. What's the #1 movies in the world? It ain't dramas. It ain't science fiction. It ain't fantasy. It's what? Superhero films, right?
Yep.
And what did they do? I told y'all, I said superhero film going to kill. There's no movie stars left. You realize the only movie star left is Tom Cruise? That's it. There's no movie stars left. He the only left. Why? Because he's a garden Scientologist. Because he got a religious society behind him, nigga. You can't pull in on Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise had the best movie of 2022. Maverick was the shit. It was better than the first one. Why? It was about a man, right? It was about a heterosexual man and a heterosexual woman and family. That's all it was about.
Yep.
I watched that movie twice. I watched that movie twice. I turned Wakanda Forever off after they killed this nigga with COVID. I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Again, everything that y'all like is cursed. So break the curses, man. Learn to laugh more. People ask me, my queen, we just celebrated our 26th anniversary, B.
Congratulations.
And, yo, how do you do it? What do you do? You know, one of the biggest things is laughing, yo. We be laughing. Like, laughing, yo. Laughing, I'm telling you. Being jovial, having a jovial spirit. I'm telling you, B. We stopped COVID with memes. Like we destroyed they whole shit with memes, homie. Like, yo, we ain't gotta do nothing. Next time they come out with some shit, the next pandemic, just meme that shit to death. Find as many memes and just post them shits. Watch what happens. That shit gonna go away. I'm telling you, they trying to train AIs now to pick up on human nuance to be able to stop people like us from communicating. So that way, if we say anything that hurts somebody's feelings, the AI just shut us down automatically. So you know what you do? Create your own AI. Let's create our own AIs and have our AI do the opposite of what they AI do. And let the AIs fight it out and let me just live our life. Like, stop thinking that that they're all powerful and they all gonna come to get us and we're not gonna make it. They won already. No, they lost already. They lost already. The time in the future that they lost is coming up closer and closer. The time that they won is shorter and shorter. So the closer we get to the time of them losing, the farther we get away from the time of them winning. You understand? And yes. For them, it's not about winning. It's about not losing. See, we got to understand the game. It's not about winning or losing. It's not about playing the game.
Right.
It's about creating the parameters for the game to be played. That's the real money. It's not the owner of the team who has the real money. It's the owner of the city who owns the land that the stadium and the owner is putting the team and he owns everything in. That's where we need to be at. That's where we at.
Yes. Yes.
Y'all got it twisted because y'all listening to Africans and Yorubans and all of these Nuwapians and all of these different sects, which is great. If that's your culture, that's cool. But when it comes to your nationality, homie, when it comes to your way of life, homie, you got to get it right. Because if not, they're going to make movies where they make the slave catchers the heroes. Right?
Fact.
Women
Fact.
King? Right? They done make the slave catchers the heroes, B. And I'm supposed to be okay with this. Why? Because Viola Davis is black? That's why I'm supposed to be cool with it. So y'all niggas can do anything so long as it's black. That's what you're telling me? That's not racist. That's not, you know what I'm saying? That's not supremacist. That's not totalitarian. Like, I'm against all totalitarianism. All of it. I don't care if it got a fez on it, a police hat, a Pope vicar. I don't care. I don't care. If you trying to oppress me, you're an enemy. I don't care. So again, man. So with people like me, you can't bribe us. You can't get rid of us because we're not even a part of your shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I could be in it. I could literally walk in the courtroom, put down my nationality, put down who the fuck I am. Now it's on you to tell me I'm not. And you know if you do, you're in violation. So because you know the consequence of natural law. Natural law looks at that which should have been done as done. So when I come into the venue in the Article 3, when I come into the statutory venue, it has to become an Article 3 venue, being that I'm a representative of the several states. Thus, it has to become an Article 3 because the venue changes the geographic location to me. Because I've put down who I am. Now it's on you to give me your delegation of authority to tell me who you are. And if you're not from this, based upon these so-called statutes and codes that are indemnified behind this so-called constitution, I can use that to bind you. Because you're the alien, not me. I'm just foreign to you, but I'm not foreign to this place that we call Earth. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So yeah, again, I really appreciate everybody that's been out here, everybody that didn't take the vax, everybody that stuck their ground, everybody that has ever stood up for me or anybody like me, kicking truth and things like that. I salute you. I give you respect. I thank you because without you, there would be no progressive. I would not see the work that I've done progress as long as I have. And it's not always about receiving the pat on the back, you know what I mean, in the public. I know what I've brought to the community, just like the community knows. So I don't got to constantly come on here and tell y'all and remind. I don't see when you got to constantly remind people, people are not coming to you like you honored me and told me, like, nah, I've really been seeing how you move and shit like that. That's why I could say this. You see what I'm saying? Like because I was put here by the people.
Yes.
Based on the work that I did because of the things that I said no to than the things I said yes to.
Indeed.
And that's why, like men, that's why they want to get all men out of the house, because with a man in the house, he gonna tell that boy, take that dress off, stop talking to your mother like that, put that shit in, go to bed, pick up your clothes, clean up the house, cut the lawn, take out the garbage. See, they don't like that. They don't want no man to do that because they don't want to even do that. The female don't even want you to do that. They don't want to do that themselves.
Right.
And they definitely don't want to be around a man that has an expectation of them. Oh my God, don't have no expectations. Nigga, you supposed to just take whatever we give you. You're supposed to just take anything. No. When so-called melanated Moors, so-called black males, melanated males actually have standards, say, no, I'm not going to take that. No, I'm not going to have sex with you. No, I'm not going to allow you to exploit me. You cease being black. That's why they get so surprised. Because right before their eyes, see, you don't know how you look. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So you don't know what you look like when you start kicking this type of shit to them. So you start talking and you just giving your spiel and you not realizing they stepping back and they looking almost above your head like, yo, because you don't know what they see. They may see, like one time I did a reading, one of the last times I actually got a reading from an old spiritualist lady that used to be out here, old Madrina. And I went in and she was telling me the reading and all of that. And she was kind of like this, like she was talking to me, but she was kind of like this, like. So after a while, I was like, yo, why you have, is it a problem? Like, is it my breath? Like, what's wrong with, why you not looking at me? She said, it's not that. She said, it's not you. She said, you know, your reading and everything is thing, but it's just kind of hard because there's a giant jet black, I can only say like an Indian, and he's like right above, he's like right around you, and he's really watching me and what I'm saying. So I'm really trying to make sure what I'm saying is correct. I was like, word? She was like, for real. And for the rest of the reading, like, she was like, so imagine, and I was like, ah, that's Black Hawk. Because I had a Black Hawk thing in my crib at the time. So that's what I'm saying. Like spiritually, we are so powerful and so magnificent. Like original man is so beautiful, is so magnificently opulent that you appear dull in this reality. You understand? That's how magnanimous we really are. That's why these niggas used to have to cross the street when they would see us coming. That's why they would literally defer their eyes. Some people would literally, some cultures, they would bury their head in the sand when the Moor with the fez walk by. Facts. This is not a joke. This is for real. A friend of mine just went to a thing and he met an African chief out there. He's a Moor and he was in there with his fez on. And the chief, while he was sitting in there, he had his constituents in there. The chief asked him to come back and talk to him later. So when he went back and spoke to him, the chief was like, yo, I didn't want to disrespect you or whatever. He said, but you know what you're wearing in the crown that you have on, that's a sign of rulership in my country. So my people were kind of confused. They didn't know if they should be bowing to you or whatever. So I wanted to talk to you behind, like, what's going on? Who are you? Like, what is the name of your clan? Like, blah, blah, blah. Jet black African talking to the Moor like this. So he got on his little black fez on. The Moor got on his cherry joint on. It's like, oh, well, you know, I'm a Moor and Moorish American and blah, 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 blah. This dude about to do major business with him just off the fact that kings recognize one another. And my grandmother always said, dress for the job you want. So if you are a Moor and you know that that's your inherent value and whatever, as you get into it and the more comfortable you feel more comfortable in whatever habit and expression that you want to do that with, within reason. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because that is what allows you to take yourself out of the present jurisdiction. Because if you're walking down the street and you got on the black turban and you walking with your friend and he got on the black cap on, and the police run up and they say they looking for somebody with the black hat, who they gonna take? They gonna take him.
Take him.
They taking him. They taking you. Because his clothes say that he's on the team. He down with the team. Your clothes say that you from somewhere else. Now, many times people have come to me and say, yo, where are you from?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if I was dressed, you know what I'm saying, the way that they expect you to be dressed, they would already feel like they know.
Yeah.
And one thing people hate with melanated people in this country is not knowing how to identify you. What
Yeah.
type of nigga are you? They do not like that. If they can't do it, you say you black and you say you not, what? Just like I said, what Zachary Howard was saying, the Egyptians was black. They wasn't, not that they wasn't melanated. He's just using black as an anthem because of the criminality put into law about it. But even with that, even with the criminality of it being seen as a crime or whatever, there is still no law on the books anywhere in the United States that says that black people are barred from doing anything. In actuality, the laws say the exact opposite. So any law in your benefit is for your benefit. You understand?
Right.
Regardless of what. On a battlefield, if your gun jam and you see another gun on the ground, you're not going to pick up the gun on the ground because it belonged to the enemy. No, you're going to pick up that gun and the other gun the enemy had. Matter of fact, you're going to take as many guns from the enemy as possible. You understand? To keep him in his position as the enemy, to keep yourself alive. So why would you not do the same thing? Because most Moors, like I said, have been miseducated, sorely miseducated. Just because you are more don't mean that you got total knowledge of yourself. Just because you got money don't mean that you know smarter. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
So yeah.
Definitely more. Well, yeah. Well, I see the chat. Everybody here is definitely embracing what you're saying.
Lit. Islam chat. Thank you for holding me down, man.
Islam. More. I appreciate always your time. More. You just went in and you've given me you've given all of us more than than you always give us more than what we expect. But in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Like you give it your all. That's what I love more. So definitely everybody support the brother. The links that I posted up earlier, they are in the description. Go to his website, go to the Empress website, support him. The Gumroad site that has a lot of your documents with your videos and stuff, right?
Yeah. So the ISeerTheEducators.com website has a lot of the older stuff going back to the video era. Then Gumroad has a lot of the present stuff, classes from the more modern era digitized joints. So you would type in www.gumroad.com, type in ISeerTheEducators in the chat, and it'll come up, and it'll take you to my page on there. And that has that. Then YouTube has stuff going all the way back, I think, to 2008. And what else? Pretty soon I'm gonna have my own app, the ADOT app, so people will be able to get that, and then it'll have a whole bunch of stuff, my stuff on it, a lot of the study materials, PDFs and stuff that you'll be able to get, and all of that. So it'll be on the App Store. You'll be able to download that like any other joint. As well as our entertainment company, Superhero Studios, under Morally Correct Mediums. I'm gonna have a website, darkskull418.com or ds418.com. That's where the whole, basically my version of Marvel and DC, that's where all of that's gonna live. So I'm gonna be having the books there, the comic book novels. It's gonna be a comic book novel, which is different than a graphic novel, because I want to promote literacy and get people to read books again. So it'll have pictures in it, but it'll be written almost like a book. Yeah. So we have that. We're gonna have the digitized version, the hardcover version. I have a great artist, Mashindo Kumba. Big up to him. He's been doing the art. It's looking phenomenal. The reduct of the colorized and revamped version of Dark Skull 418, as well as the prequel to that, and some of the other novels and stuff that I've been writing over the years. I'm gonna have that on there, so that way we can eventually parlay that into cartoons, movies, toys, and take back what we need to take back. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of people making videos about what's wrong with the shit. Let's do what people like Eric July, big up to him, Eric July from the Ripperverse. This brother created something called the Ripperverse, a comic called Isom, and it is a great book. And he did it basically by himself. He done raised over $3 million off of that through his own marketing, without even extra marketing, with the machine hating on him, with PayPal trying to seize $1 million+ racks from his account, all because they don't want his heterosexual non-GMO soy-based comic book to come out. That is actually what we need. So so anybody that's tired of seeing superheroes turn gay and just made the Joker pregnant, like all of this is communism. All of this destroying anything that you used to like, making it whack, watering the music down. All of that is signs of communism. It's all communism. And communism is about rotting the country from the inside out. Satanism is just the spiritual aspect that they're using to couch what they're doing with it. And under Satanism is all of the pagan cult shit and all of the Freemasonic orders that they think is serving the one main devil. Because the main one devil that they serve is everywhere, but can only be in one place at a time. You hear what I said? He's everywhere, but he can only be at one place at a time. So that shows you the limitation of the devil, and that the devil is really everybody that works for it more than the individual of itself. So as we close out, what I want to say was solidarity is where it's at. Last week, 215 motorcycle bikers were all let go by the federal government after being locked down for 2 years because they was in a shootout with a rival motorcycle gang that was trying to kill each other, in which 9 people wound up dead, 27 people was injured, $350,000 in property damage. So they wound up arresting both sides of the gang and locked them niggas down for 2 years, 215 of them, and not one person flipped on anybody. And they were enemies. They were enemies, and not one person flipped. So they had to let all 215 people go, despite the bodies, despite the drugs, despite the property damage, despite the wounded people, despite the wounded officers, despite the judicial system and the bonds. Nobody flipped, so everybody went home. This nigga Gunna got locked down for less than a year. And everybody sung.
Yes, ma'am.
And everybody told. Everybody's telling. So you know what that says to me? That says to me that that something has happened in which now the white boys is in the position that we was at, and now we in the position that they was at. Because we is acting like them and they acting like us. Do you understand what I'm saying? 200, you know how much money that is they lost? You know each one of them niggas now can file a lawsuit against the government and bankrupt the government, just that little group right there, which they said that they talking about doing. These niggas talking about hiring Dershowitz. You know that commie is with destroying the government. He with doing whatever to make these niggas look bad. So that's what I'm trying to say. They trying to destroy your country. They're trying to make all of y'all communists by turning y'all into by using black girl magic. That's what they doing. They trying to make y'all communists by using black girl magic to do it. Same way they was giving out free weed for COVID shots. Remember all that?
Oh, man.
So yeah, they're doing whatever they could do to convince you that their way of life is going to be here. And it's over. It's already over.
Yeah.
So America has now separated from the United States. So the Civil War will be those true so-called Americans, which is a multi-ethnic situation now. We're the originals, no doubt.
Right.
We're not, you can't be so thing to say we're the only so-called Americans now. It's just the case anymore. Because our ancestors opened it up because they got so dirty with each other, they had to start trusting other people. And those other people, the ones that didn't get corrupted, you see what I'm saying? They wound up having to do the same thing. So now at the close of this society, they got an issue in something else. So whenever they reach the end of their lease, everything reverts back to the original owners, right? That's what we are now. That's what we are now. That's why all of the comic book movies suck. Because all of the original characters, the rights are reverting back to the original owners based on the 35-year rule. After 35 years, your copyrights go back to who created it. So they want to be able to use it, but they don't want anybody else to use it after them. So we'll destroy Superman and make him gay. So this way you won't even want to buy a Superman comic. So that way when we stop printing them, you won't want it from nobody else. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it has nothing to do with diversity. Anytime they talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, economic or ESG, economic social governance, all of that's communism. All that's communism. And anything communism is bad. Communism, bad. Capitalism, bad, but not as worse as communism. You understand what I'm saying? Capitalism, anything that you can, any market that a man can make and keep what he makes is inherently a good system. Now, if that system like capitalism is exploited to the negative, then of course it's going to be bad.
Right.
But again, a car, that's like saying a car is bad because it ran somebody down. You can't do that. The car ain't bad. Neither was the person who was driving it. It might have just been an accident. It might have just been a circumstance. It might have been a malfunction. Mm-hmm. But we don't label the car as bad. So we can't label America as something that it isn't, because America is our land. This is our country.
Right.
We died for this place. We built this place up. So as great as Africa and all that shit over there is, that's great. But we are not to subordinate ourselves to nobody, to no other man, regardless to what spiritual knowledge or what spiritual entities or what mountain or whatever these niggas come from or say what they are. You're not supposed to subordinate yourself to no living, breathing man, period. Regardless to what knowledge he given you. Being humble, being grateful, being respectful now, that's totally different. But you do not receive knowledge from anybody that's lording it over your head or saying that because you look at it like this, you're fucked up. No. Like I said, we got pyramids over here, they got pyramids over there. The pyramids over here were for a different purpose than the pyramids over there. The pyramids over there are for an eventual ascension outwards. The pyramids over here is to bring energy down. That's why at the top of the trapezoid of the pyramid that we see as the stone pyramids in South America, there's a platform.
Right.
Because that is to bring the energy down. There was supposed to be things that were supposed to rest on top of that. You see what I'm saying? Whereas the pyramidions, right, that is over there in so-called Egypt over there is to push the energy up and out, up and out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So one is to give, one is to receive. You can't have your right hand without your left hand.
Exactly.
So those pyramids are great. And that's dope. But at the same time, they exist for a reason the same way these do. So depending on your reason, they're there for you to use either. Because we are not bound to either. We were given the whole thing. So why are they set tripping on one part of earth when the whole shit? We from the whole thing.
Exactly.
And beyond the so-called walls, ice walls, and inside this motherfucker. So again, man, stop set tripping. Stop putting one ancestor over the other. Stop putting one pyramid over the other. But at the same time, don't call something that it isn't. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if it's a scarab over there, and they refer to it as a scarab when it's really Kepra. You know what I'm saying? And they made it scarab because they couldn't say Kepra, and from scarab we get cancer. So everybody think cancer is the crab when it's really the Kepra, it's really the beetle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is how it can get this is how it can get messed up. So you got everybody out here thinking that they're cancers and that they're crabs, and they're really, when cancer is really not a crab at all, it's a beetle. So really the image of cancer should be a beetle.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's just like at one point, the two fishes, Pisces, swam the same direction. Now they don't. So those are pyramidion. That's a pyramid over there. The capstone is a pyramidion. That's where the focal point of the energy is supposed to be. Because that's what it was built to do. Promote the energy to go out. But when it goes out, where's it going to come back down? Where was it going to come back down? In a place that could receive the energy, right? Guess where that is?
Exactly.
Here. That's why flat tops, right? That's why we as Moors here in America wore flat tops, right?
Yep.
Right? Like fezzes, because the energy is put onto us from the Most High into the crown chakra, into heaven, then into earth, then into hell. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why these pyramids is built like trapezoids and shit over here.
Indeed. And that you just made me think about that analogy about the sun rising in the east, setting in the west.
Right.
The energy coming up in one area
and coming down in the other. That's why we can't diss them and they can't diss us. Because we the people.
Exactly. More beautiful, More. I appreciate it always, more. Listen, they're loving it. So that's dope. It is what it is. More definitely more. And again, everybody go to his links, check him out, support him, support the Empress on that
donation. Really appreciate it. It helps me get this thing together because again, I don't have no extraneous team other than the Moors I work with in private, and I would never put them out there like that because I don't want them to get targeted because that's what they'll do. Like I've had dudes be around me that was like, bodyguarding or whatever, and then stop being around me, and now it's like I've had people try to use me for clout to get into other ciphers because that cipher mainstream know me, but they can't have me up in there with them. They'll have anybody up in there before me. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna show enough do it, and I'm gonna show enough hold them accountable, and they don't want to do that. So they rather take somebody they can bet on, usually somebody that they don't already paid off. So I only get paid off by the people. So if y'all don't know, I got to do it myself. Either way, So again, man, Brother Shem, thank you again for having me on. Thank you all in the chat for the support. Anybody that doesn't like the stuff I do or talk about, thank you for not supporting. You know what I'm saying? Because again, man, I take either way. If you give, I grab. You know what I'm saying? If you throw, I'll catch. I'm like that. I'm very much whatever. I'm not here to convert nobody. I'm not here to control nobody. But I'm not here to waste I'm not here to have my time wasted, and I'm not here to waste nobody else's time with it. So again, love yourself, practice love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality, honors to the Prophet, Noble Jew Ali, you know what I mean, for coming. One of the premier, or if not the only American prophet that we can look to, you know what I mean, who bridged us from our ancient empire, from our ancient occupation and autonomous jurisdiction over this land, over this earth, and giving us a way to be that again today. Because as he said, what you are today is what your forefathers were, you are today, right?
Without contradiction.
Without doubt or contradiction.
That's right.
That's right, Mo. So let's learn to love instead of hate. Thank you again for having me on. Thank you to my queen, again, Selena, my son, my eldest and my eldest daughter, thank you guys for being in my life. And again, showing me that diligence really pays off, man. And really learning to these tribulations that we go through with these children are there to shape us, man. Because I went through a dark period having my children kidnapped from me and watching people in my family be around them and not telling me and hiding them and doing all types of shit. And there were times I really thought I was losing my mind, you know, just based upon the thoughts of murder and things like that. You know what I mean? That you get when you forcibly separated from your children. So I want to give thanks to my queen for helping me through that time, as well as myself for giving myself the space enough to look at things on a multi-year basis instead of what was right in front of me. Because if I just dealt with that, I might not have been here. You know what I'm saying? So again, give yourself time to heal, brothers. Give yourself time to heal, sisters, and know that there's nothing wrong with us procreating with one another, and that there's really nobody else on the planet for us but us.
But us.
We all we got. You know what I'm saying? So again, man, love, brother.
Absolutely. Likewise, Moor. Appreciate you. Love you, Moor. And I love to all the everyone. Definitely gratitude to everyone who got on this live stream and those who will see it later. So until next time, to all the family, peace and love.
Peace.
Islam. Peace. There we go.